during Berlin Blockchain Week. This is how we got in touch with Bradley. And now we're at a point where we really want to bring the topic of regeneration to the forefront of the AI movement, because AI is coming in a tidal wave to every industry that we can name. And the question is for us, how are we going to leverage this technology to build a better future? Because there's a lot of directions we can go with it, but how do we want to harness it for good? And that can be seen on the environmental side, but also very heavily on the social side, as you can imagine. So yeah, we were really excited to team up today for this event with a local club in this local space, and and make something cool happen. And ultimately, we really want to invite everyone here to participate and make this event as interactive as possible, because the idea here is to get conversations going, not just have one-way presentations. That's our style. So thank you so much for having us, and I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Thank you. Two microphones. I think my engineering brain is already on how to solve this problem, because like when we started 5 months ago, I was a speaker here, and I kind of like brought all the tech every month as we did this thing. So before we start, I would like to give you a quick introduction about myself. I love CIC, but I don't feel comfortable. My name is Emil Saar. I'm a software engineer. I've been building software for the past 23 years. I have been building AI agents for the past 2.5 years. That's like 20 years of full stack engineering, if you know it. And I'm a software engineer. I build AI agents for SMEs in Germany. I just started a YouTube channel a couple of months ago, and that's all this like gadgets and everything you can see is the result of that. And the software that you see running is a vibe-coded software. So it was finished like an hour ago. If it breaks, so it's okay, don't boo. I'm going to be moderating this event tonight. We have an amazing lineup. We have 2 speakers. Is the second speaker there yet?
Yeah, he's just arrived.
Okay, cool. So we have 2 speakers. Last time it happened that one of the 4 speakers didn't arrive, and then we had time. And that gives birth to a debate format. We're going to have debate at the end. And in the middle, we will have like a fishbowl here. This format, I just got to know it from Gil. It's very interesting. It's so much engaging. Therefore, we this time intended to have like a smaller group. In the past 4 or 5 of them, it was always above 70 people. The reason we needed to keep it small was this fishbowl format, because it starts with a panel discussion of like 4 people, and then we kind of do the rotation, gets out, somebody from the crowd comes and sits there and then talks about the topic. We'll talk about that as well, and also about the debate. I'll moderate when the time comes. You'll forget it if I just tell you how the debate works by then. It's a full pack. We have 2 breaks. I'll show the agenda in just a minute. But before I do that, I would like to give you guys a little bit of thing we need to share together. So if you quickly scan that QR code, please, and send me 10 euros, everyone, for donation. I'm just joking, it's something else. Just scan the QR code. Also, it's not my YouTube channel, so I'm not asking for subscribing. You will find me on the internet and subscribe on my YouTube. But if you, there you go. Some people found it. This is Vibe Stage. This is the vibe-coded thing that I built. It goes on the top of the screen, and that camera goes on the top of the screen. And whenever you guys want to share your vibes, or if you're bored, give us some sad emojis. If you're happy, give us some happy emojis or confetti animations and so on, so that we keep you engaged, all right? And with that, yeah, I mean, it depends on the on the person who really likes emojis pressing it too much. All right, so as I say, this is our agenda. It's okay, they will get fed with pressing that, or I will turn them off from here. So, all right, so the agenda is as following. Are we on time? Are we on time? No, we are 15 minutes too late. So that means we're going to do things much faster than usual. So the very first talk will be by Alistair, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Alistair Alexander. is going to talk about a framework about the AI futures. To be honest, to be very, very honest, I've been building AI applications for the past 7 years. I have a master's degree and dropped in third semester. And because of my startups, I did 5 companies in the past 17 years, 3 startups, 2 agencies. So I dropped out of my master's program in 2015. I started. So I know a lot about, I think I know a lot about AI, but I needed to ask someone. Gil, I think I asked you guys, what does regenerative AI means? Like, I need to, like, I asked you, like, can you guys, yeah, you asked me and then I asked them, because I was like, I know Gen AI, but what is Regen AI? So educate me about that. So I am personally looking forward to all these cool talks, and you guys know what to do with those little remote controllers in your hands. Send some emojis to the screen. All right, with that, Alistair, please.
Thank you.
You get the clicker, but you can't hold this for the whole time. I'm going to clip you like this. This is a magnet. I'm not allowed to touch you. I'm straight, so you gotta clip it like this yourself behind your shirt.
What's this?
Okay, I'm
oh,
gonna
sorry.
touch you.
Oh yeah, touch me. Okay. And then is this working?
Other side. There we go.
And it's not moving forward.
You're going in the wrong direction.
I'm going in the wrong direction. Okay. Okay. I'm going backwards. All right. Hi, everybody. Really nice to be here. Thank you so much, Gil,
They have to
Bradley, Corey, for
otherwise
inviting
it
me.
doesn't work.
I'm really glad to be here. I work here in Berlin. I research, I do workshops around exploring the ecological and social impact of technology. These are a few of my previous projects. I did a lot on data and privacy with art exhibitions, public engagement, disinformation, also looking at things like how we can bring in the more than human world into these kinds of areas. And this was a whole set of workshops around how our social networks could be more like fungi networks and things like that. I'm really interested in that and how we can think about more than human intelligence as well as artificial intelligence. So I think the context for this is pretty obvious, and you'll all know this. You're all obviously very socially aware people, environmentally aware people, I'm sure. But as you know, our global temperatures are rising. We know it's about 1.55 degrees last year, our global temperatures. And we've crashed through that limit of 1.5 degrees. And we set that in Paris. This is actually protests in Paris in 2015. I was actually around there somewhere. I'm sort of in that crowd. We had some random silver cubes for some reason. I don't know why. That's what you do in these protests. But at that point, I think it's really important to come back to it, because that's when we set this temperature of 1.5 degrees. And at that point, the global temperature was 0.9 degrees above pre-industrial levels. So in other words, in that decade between then and now, we've risen about 0.7 degrees. And you're here with a lot of climate change. People will forecast for things around 2050, or maybe we'll get to 3 degrees in 2100. What that means is, if that trajectory continues, we will reach 3 degrees of global warming by about 2040. So well within, a lot of people here just won't be even old at that point, And 3 degrees, it's really hard to imagine how whole parts of our society, whole regions of the world can actually survive at that kind of level. So it's a really urgent issue, of course. And then what we have here, sorry, it's the backwards thing again. We have this issue with AI, and this is a new AI center in Arizona. This is a graph showing the kinds of energy demand we're seeing from AI. So already, whilst we're really struggling with the idea of decarbonizing our entire economies, our entire societies, AI is coming along and creating a whole new set of energy demands. And this is something from calculations by a researcher in Riverside in the United States. He calculates that if you're doing an email, it's going to take 0.14 kilowatt hours. And that means that if an average worker does 40 emails, I don't know where that number comes from, but I found it somewhere. But if he does 40 emails, then that's going to be about 1/3 of the energy cost of an entire German household. So it's a huge amount of energy going into each individual ChatGPT query or any kind of GPT query. And this is a big data center in Ireland. Ireland is, of course, one of the big centres. 28% of the electricity in Ireland will be going into AI data centres by about 2030 because it's such a big hub. You can see here the capital spend. I think it's about 450 billion this year from the big tech companies. It's about 1.4 trillion in infrastructure into AI. So it's one of the biggest build-outs we've seen. And this, I'm not going to play this video. I'm going to go through it. This is a guy called Peng Shao. He's the CEO of G42, which is one of the biggest investors in AI infrastructure. He's one of the people in the Gulf. If you remember Trump going a couple of weeks ago to the Gulf, he was signing a huge deal with OpenAI and this guy. And he's with one of the biggest investors in the world, Larry Fink there. He was saying here, this is a couple of months ago, that we will need 300 gigawatts of power for AI by 2030. And if you calculate that up, that's about 10% of the world's entire electricity. 10% of the world's entire electricity. And that's, of course, new demand, okay? That's above what we existing. That's above all the stuff we need to power with electricity now. And that's a huge issue because we got this fundamental problem with trying to decarbonize our entire economy, moving away from fossil fuels to renewable energy. Fossil fuels have incredible energy intensity. There's a reason we're so fixed on using them. It's because they're incredibly useful at getting energy out. It's much, much harder with renewable energy. And that means we are shifting from a world of what we think to be energy abundance, where we've got all of this oil, all of this gas, but of course it's causing us this damage, to one of energy scarcity. We've got to think much, much more carefully about the way we use the energy and what we use it for. So when you put that into our entire energy system, then bringing AI along with its huge energy demands is going to create a massive problem for us, and that's where we are right now. So this is a map of the US, where, of course, a huge amount of data centers are being built out in the US. This is the OpenAI data center at Abilene, the so-called Stargate. It's at 1.2 gigawatts. This is up in Virginia, which is the biggest center of data centers, and it's 2.5 gigawatts. That's about, by the way, 2.5 gigawatts, that's about the same kind of energy capacity as the entire city of Berlin, okay? And what that means is this growth of data centers, there's not, even though the US is actually doing very well in terms of building out renewable energy infrastructure, there's not nearly going to be enough. So as the graph here shows, over half of that energy is going to come from fossil fuels. There's going to be a massive ramp up. This blue block is gas, okay? The United States has a huge surplus of gas, and that's what it will be used to actually power the data centers. So we've got all of our climate goals, and we're really struggling with them as we are, and then we've got AI dragging us in completely the opposite direction. So this is the fundamental issue we have.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
The natural gas can also be regeneratively produced, right? Because
Well, it's essentially methane.
yeah, but you can do it from electrolysis.
Yeah, but you're emitting methane, which is 30 times more climate warming than carbon dioxide. So you'd have to capture the methane.
Yeah.
So it's not regenerative.
No, it's when it's burned, and it's not methane in the atmosphere.
No. We'll come to that. You'll see what I mean. But when you burn natural gas for power,
Yeah.
you're emitting methane. That's what you're doing, and you're emitting carbon dioxide. Sorry?
You want to say the Q&A till the end?
We can do. Yeah. Okay, so I will. We come back onto the energy stuff, yeah. And I'll come back to the methane. This is a climate. So what can we do with AI? You'll hear a lot about addressing climate change, and there are some things that can happen. There's weather modeling, climate modeling. It is useful for that. I spoke to climate scientists about that. It helps with scaling up small models into global scale, and also for efficient weather modeling. So it is useful, and also for tracking methane, for example, coming back to your point. But there are other issues here. One is here, this is a campaign by some ex-Microsoft engineers. They're talking about enabled emissions. That is the way in which AI is being used to optimize fossil fuel extraction, okay? And what they're finding is this is the carbon emissions of Microsoft. This is the carbon emissions of 2 projects with Exxon and Chevron that they are funding with AI. So there's a huge counterbalance there in terms of what they're doing. And that has a massive impact, and this is here. Shall we put? So this is the Colossus data center, and these are gas turbines. That's what you're hearing. So that's emitting methane into the air in Memphis. So yeah, so there is, so unfortunately, with fossil fuels, you're going to get methane and you're going to get carbon dioxide going into the atmosphere, and we haven't got a way of. Sorry.
What percent is uncombusted?
What percent of it is uncombusted? I don't know. I can't give you the exact number, but this is a major polluter for our atmosphere.
I think there's some global estimates of 1 to 5% of methane, natural gas that is being burned, ends up in the atmosphere.
Uncombusted.
Yeah, uncombusted.
It will be.
For all power plants, for the most modern ones? Or?
I know, this is probably 5-year-old data, and that's just generally from what we harvest to what we burn. Harvest is one word.
I mean, gas is a fossil fuel. You burn it, you're going to get carbon dioxide, you're going to get methane coming out. That's where you go.
You can also create it like in a regenerative way. That was one point.
Okay, well, you have to extract it, but you could get it from organic matter, but you're still going to emit from doing it. So, we're going to go. So the issue here is about growth, and the fact of the matter is that with AI in its current model, we're growing and growing and growing, and that's the way the AI industry is going. And we're optimized to scale. And then what we don't talk about enough about, we talk a lot about the energy use, but we don't talk about the embedded carbon. That is the carbon that comes from actually producing the semiconductors, okay? So the carbon from the semiconductors is because this is a massively energy-intensive process to produce these things, okay? And it's very, very hard. This is in TSMC in Taiwan. That uses huge amounts of energy, about 30%. That's coal-based energy, by the way. And as a result, this is we don't have numbers on NVIDIA's chips. Google's TPUs, which are equivalent, they're about 780 kilograms or 2.2 tons, those chips. Compared to, say, your normal laptop chip, it's going to have a carbon impact of somewhere about 150 to 200 kilograms. And the critical minerals that go into that are incredibly intensely needed for the green transition and also for our data infrastructure. So we need 40 times more lithium. We need about 25 times more graphite. We need 20 times more cobalt. And the thing about this is, and we should really think about this, all of these minerals that we need for all of these technologies, 54% of them are in indigenous territories. And those territories have 88% of our biodiversity. So there's a real balance there about what we need to do with it. So the rate of expansion we have now is not really possible for us to continue in its current form and maintain any kind of biodiversity. So I really want to go back to the solutions and get to what we can do. I'm going to skip through this. This is a project we're doing. So I really want to think about how we can imagine it, and going back to Omar's point about regenerative futures. In this project, we've got a 4 futures model, and we're looking at extractive, which is the current model, along to the sustainable, where we're mitigating harm, and then we've got a restorative future, where we're actually trying to repair the damage of our current infrastructures, and then we're moving to regenerative. And regenerative in this means sort of entirely replenishing our ecosystems and our social and human ecologies, as well as our modern human world. So we're trying to find ways of imagining where we can go with that. And that's a real challenge to do that with those kind of very inorganic, very extractive kinds of infrastructures. But we're trying to do that. This is very complicated, but this is our matrix of mapping out those things across those 4 futures. But let's think about what that could actually mean. So when we go to sustain, we think about things like, we can see those around, and I'm sure some of you will be aware of that. You've got things like measuring carbon footprint, looking at carbon-aware software, looking at green coding, and finding the software that enables us to make it more efficient. And we can look at things like mitigating harms in the supply chains. Logitech does a lot of that with its own materials and sort of circularity it's bringing in. But we also need to think about how we can scale back those data centers. At the moment, there's massive build out by those data centers, and we need to start thinking about restricting it. About 96% of data in data centers is actually junk or not accessed. So there's a huge amount we could do without actually having any meaningful effect. But we need to go much further than that if we're really going to think about how we can take these technologies and do something with them that's going to actually regenerate or at least restore different ecologies. And one of the things we've been looking at is a kind of a movement called permacomputing, which tries to bring permaculture principles into the way we're looking at computers. It says care for life, and how can we create low power systems that strengthen the biosphere rather than go for maximization. And it's also about caring for the chips, so recognizing the fact that the materials we have in these infrastructures are always going to have a cost. So we really have to make sure that we use them as efficiently as possible. And so, we're using at the moment e-waste is increasing 5 times faster than we are actually reproducing it. So we need to find ways in which we can actually address that. And one thing we can do, for example, here is this is a data center, for example, in Switzerland. And what this data center does is it's embedded within a housing community. So this data center is air-cooled. It's using second-hand components. It provides AI infrastructure, yet it's heating all of the homes around it. So really efficient ways of thinking about how we can use infrastructure more cleverly within our environment to do things better. But we need to go further than that and think about why we're doing everything we want online. Is it always better to do everything online? We're here in person. And this is a project I did last year in Moose with Bradley, who was around there, and a few other ones, where we explored these issues about how we can reconnect in different ways, in low intensity ways, in low compute ways, and think about using our infrastructure for the things we want to do. So then we get into regenerate, and then it gets really, really challenging, but we can really start thinking about how we can use low impact networks to think about how we can regenerate different parts, creating information systems that start building into our actual ecosystems. These are some of the projects that are around, these are indigenous networks for connecting up and power to support agroecology. This is a sub-Saharan agroecology network, which is connected up with actual weather systems. So the actual technology is beginning to...
There's a small issue.
Yep.
Can you please wait a second?
So we're using agroecology as a way of low-impact agriculture being connected up with technology, which allows the people to anticipate and use data from climate models to actually make it more efficient in the way they use their crops, where they manage their fields, their crops, etc. And this is another more urban context. It's called Louds. It's actually based in Berlin, amongst other places. It's a really interesting project. It uses a philosophy called cosmo-localism. And what they're doing is try and build up these ecosystems of makers, of artists, of regenerators, of designers, of producers to create sustainable, circular, small ecosystems of production in different places across Europe. It's about trying to get production low as possible and using online technologies to try and make that as efficient as possible. So what does that mean for AI? I think it means a lot. I was going to show something here. Karen Howe has just released this book. It's a really interesting book on AI. And what she says is the problem here is that they're trying to produce an everything machine, a machine that does everything. And that creates a lot of problems because it's creating a lot of problems in different places. What we need to think about with AI is how we produce very specific things with very specific use cases. We could do so much with AI when we look at very focused things, like, for example, data around weather modeling, or, for example, looking at different disease rates. We can do a huge amount with it, but with very, very small data sets. And those things are much more focused and much more contained with less of the social impacts that we can see with current AI as well. So we need to think about how we can go away from this bigger is better to something where we're thinking much more about smaller and more focused ways of using it. And I just wanted to bring in a couple of sort of inspirations. This is a guy called Ivan Illich. He talked about convivial technologies. This was from the 70s, and he was explaining about different things around how we can use technology to actually think about the ways in which it can empower people. It can actually, small, simple technologies that people can share, rather than large infrastructures where we're forced into them, and we are actually cogs in a much, much bigger machine of which we have no power. And this is another person who was a contemporary of her, of Ivan Illich, who's amazing in my view, Ursula Franklin. She was asking, she did a series of lectures called The Real World of Technologies in the late 80s when she was in her 80s, explaining her life of science. And she talked about holistic technologies as opposed to prescriptive technologies, very similar to what Ivan Illich was talking about. And she was asking, we should ask of technology whether it promotes justice, whether it restores reciprocity, whether there's a conversation between us and the technology, or whether it's going in one way. Whether it confers divisible or indivisible benefits, i.e., can we split it up? Can we take it and do something else with it? Or is it just monopolistic? Does it favor people over machines? So a huge set of different things, whether it favors conservation over waste. All of these kind of principles we need to think about when we're looking at the way we're applying AI and other technologies. This is about systems thinking, and Donella Meadows and her ideas around leverage points and the ways in which we can point in different ways to influence the system, which are far more complex than our normal ways of thinking about things. So I'll skip that for now. And I think one of the other aspects of this, which I think is really exciting, is there are a huge number of projects out there which are exploring the ways in which indigenous cultures and knowledge systems can explore technologies. This is one, Anamiki, this is in the Great Lakes region in Canada, where they're exploring building indigenous sovereign web technologies and also AI. And this is another one about abundant intelligences, bringing in different types of intelligence, having systems and meetings where people are consulted, different values come into the system when you're applying it to artificial intelligence. So there are a whole bunch of different ways we can use technology to apply different values, bringing in different intelligences into our systems, which could open up different conversations for how we apply technology. I'm going to leave it there because we're running out of time. Thank you.
We're running a bit behind. I acknowledge that, but I think there was definitely
For Q&A.
yeah. So I'll hand out. Do we have any questions?
Yes.
What do you think people should do now to?
Would you mind repeating that?
Oh yeah, sure. Hi. What do you think people should start doing now to achieve the regenerative future faster, before we all, doomed and stuff?
Well, there's an awful lot we need to do. Within the context of AI, we need to, I think, rapidly rethink the current trajectory of growth. And I think we need to start thinking about how we can reverse the polarity of our technologies, all our technologies, in terms of rather than thinking, let's make it bigger and more and increase the compute, and we're on this scale trajectory, why don't we actually reverse the polarity and think about, okay, what do we want to do? What do we need to do? And what's the minimum compute we need to get there? What are the most efficient ways we need? We need those constraints to bring it on ourselves. If you think about it, I mean, this is one of the interesting things, of course, with DeepSeek. We're talking about a company very obviously working with constraints, and obviously it creates a huge innovative shift as a result of those constraints. And as a result, all of the other places have learned on it. So we have this kind of narrative from Silicon Valley, we need to scale for innovation. In reality, if you go the other way and say, well, actually we need to minimize the amount of compute we need, then you get innovation in the other direction. There's a whole academic area called X-Innovation, which is exploring this kind of area, which is super interesting. But in my opinion, that's where we need to think about how we approach AI.
I'll just give you a provocative one, whose opinion I don't really agree on too much. But I've heard the opinion of people saying, okay, AI is pushing for more energy, and that even this increase in energy demands, I think Alan Howe talks about that specific proposition as well, will have so many positive externalities because, okay, AI data centers now will not run on coal, and we need 2 gigawatts right now. And for the proponents of nuclear, say, okay, now we're going in nuclear direction, but other ones saying now there's such an economic drive pushing for more energy that in itself supposedly brings better energy or gives rise to innovation that would be cleaner.
I think that the issue there when it comes to the energy mix and how we are going forward with that is fundamentally the only way to build out more energy quickly is with fossil fuels. That's the only way you can do it. We can build out renewable energy, but it's always going to be intermittent. We're always going to have those issues. Nuclear is going to take, from where we are now, I mean, generally speaking, a nuclear power station takes about 15 years to build, something like that normally. So we're really not in a space where we can actually think about that as a serious alternative to what we're doing now. There will always be fossil fuels to fill the gap. I just don't think it's convincing to think that the kind of scale of up that we're thinking about here can be done just with renewable energy. And I don't think nuclear will come in and fill the gap anytime soon. I think nuclear itself is very problematic. We still don't have any kind of understanding of how to get rid of, how to store the waste. We have a fundamental limit in terms of the uranium we have in the world as well. So there are a number of issues there as well. So we have to think about the constraints we currently have on energy. Yeah.
Last question.
I just wanted to talk again. Or, is this like a? This is a microphone. This is a microphone. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I just want to comment again on the methane. So maybe we had a misunderstanding, but in my view, in about 20 years, most of the natural gas that's being used in energy production will actually be renewable. Like it's perfectly possible to create carbon neutral or even carbon negative methane from power to gas, right, from excess wind energy or solar energy, for example. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure that like there will be substantial fossil fuels emissions still from gas that is extracted. But I mean, my point was more like how much is projected to be fossil in like 20 years and how much will be from regenerative resources.
Okay, so in terms of the gas that we use, the likelihood is that is all going to be extracted. It's going to be mineral. It's going to be out of the earth. Okay, there will be some organic. We can produce organic methane gas, as you say, but that still emits carbon and methane into the air, and it will still create that. And we haven't got the technology.
No, it doesn't. It's so if you have a biogas reactor,
yeah,
that biogas reactor emits CO2. So you can use that CO2 and combine it with hydrogen, and then you make methane.
That requires you to capture the CO2.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we don't know how to capture the CO2.
Why not?
We don't have.
We even have direct air capture, like for carbon credits. It's been done in Iceland in larger scale projects.
It doesn't work. It's actually quite a scandal at the moment with the direct air capture. They just can't capture anything like the amounts they wanted. Those technologies haven't been able to work.
So you're saying they're a scam, basically?
I'm not saying they're a scam, but they're very close to it. I mean, they fundamentally are dysfunctional, and they don't do the things they want to. Their function is basically there to allow us to continue to burn fossil fuels. That's what they're doing. But they don't actually, they're not effective.
But I mean, carbon dioxide is captured for a lot of applications. It's used in the chemical industry.
You
need
look
carbon dioxide for a lot of processes.
Sorry, I have to time out for this one.
Yeah.
You guys can carry
Yeah, we can talk.
over the pizza.
Yeah.
Because we have got a cool little other talk. Why little? Because we wasted a lot of time.
Oh.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking, Alistair.
Okay.
So is Francesco around? Francesco. Okay. I'm gonna quickly give everyone a small break. You wear the microphone of Alistair. It's on his shirt.
Okay.
No, we can't switch. There's a lot of thicker outlines. You need to send me the slides. Therefore, I was. Yeah, send me the slides on WhatsApp. Here, Francesco. You need to wear it like this. Wait a minute. Can you pull your t-shirt?
I have a tool. Oh, nice.
Okay.
Do you have the?
There are a bunch of signatures as well.
Where should I send
There
it?
are on WhatsApp. On.
Can I give you my Telegram?
No.
Or what's your-
WhatsApp. WhatsApp. I may...
Yes.
Wait.
Yes. Okay. Put it, and I send you the file
Yeah,
here.
please.
Try if it's working. Yes, that's all. Let me get a pizza, okay?
Sure, but you're ready in like 1 minute.
Or should we do it? Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
I was going. Oh, you using it? Is it working?
It's currently dead.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think mine's like drawing a bit of power even when it's off. It doesn't.
Which
last.
version? Because I remember there was a couple of those, right?
It's the dev too. The dev kit too.
Did you like open source it or something? There were some people.
I haven't hacked mine yet, but we're going to talk about it on the panel a little bit because Charlie and I are playing around with the idea of adding like a e-paper display to this.
Oh, nice.
Putting an NFC antenna on it.
This is cool. Yeah, it's customizable. What I did in an hackathon was, basically like I'm running this to a local LLM.
Yeah,
So it's private.
Putting this as
for recording.
This is the Omni. This is the Omni Me. It's an open source wearable. At the moment, it's using an ESP32 to basically send audio bytes to the Omni app, right? So you are getting transcriptions and summarizations.
Open source?
This is open source hardware.
And it uses an LLM behind it?
No, it doesn't. Well, I mean, yeah, it does. It actually uses an OpenAI API.
Okay,
This
it
does.
is embedded.
No, there's no way they can run it. It's basically sending this
To cloud?
to cloud,
It
and then
has
it's
a
doing cloud
GSM?
inferencing.
You put it like a SIM, or it is Wi-Fi?
Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Bluetooth through your phone?
Through your
and
phone.
And then
Correct.
okay, it uses your phone to send out.
Yeah, but we are exploring. We're going to talk about this on the panel for those at home watching. We are exploring alternatives to this.
Coach Jay asked for some picture
yeah.
to put it in the group.
Yes.
No, after.
Currently not?
Yes, I already
Like
sent him
that on.
some picture.
Yeah, sometimes.
I am recording. I'm going to record a session.
Oh,
that's
nice,
why I
perfect.
added this.
Okay.
And so
This one.
The recording. This is for the live stream.
Oh shit, you live streaming too? This is so cool. So where is this live stream?
Let's discuss.
It's at his YouTube account.
Oh, nice. I will check it. Don't forget.
Thank you for being here.
Oh man, pleasure.
Let's go.
Mother AI.
Guys, let's go, please.
The mother, man, the mother.
Hello, everyone. Please come here. We're starting in about 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
Is it good? Should I do it?
Everything is
No
good.
mic? No mic
Yes,
is good?
no mic.
By the way, I love to have the plants here. I think it's one of the first talk I'm doing it. So let's do it. Ooh, what is this? Nice.
That's called Vibe Stage.
Let's try stage. I like it. So how many of you guys know Mother or heard about Mother? Yeah? No one? How many of you guys build an AI agent? Okay, how many of you guys forked Eliza to build an AI agent? Yeah, a couple of those? Okay, sounds good. So my day job is basically I'm leading developer relation at a company called Consensus. So I think a lot of people use MetaMask. But my night kind of like job is I'm basically contributing to a DAO called Mother DAO. And do we have like a clicker? Or should I just...
Yeah, there is
like
a
that?
clicker.
Like this. Like sometimes. And yes. So long story short is that I was very frustrated that we had, I mean, I don't know if you remember during DeFi summer, you had a lot of forks of like DEXs, a lot of people get racked. So like I kind of like went into, and for the past like 3 years, I started to understand a little bit more like what is all about like public attestations, right? And what I did when I saw kind of all the wave around the agency, and I've been building already like, an innate workflows, a lot of automation around kind of like Web 2, but I started to see already like kind of a big wave. Okay, agents are coming. We will start going into kind of like this agentic area through AI supported workflow first. And then I said, okay, let's actually like understand a bit the space. And I started to interview around 30 interviews with agent builders. They were starting, and that was basically like 12 months ago. and I live stream that. I try to build kind of like different frameworks. But one thing I realized is that people obviously were onboarding with framework like Eliza. And I don't know if you saw it yesterday, was the account was suspended. Super interesting. Also Show Magic is suspended. But that's probably for another reason. But basically like the idea was people was doing was taking kind of like a very basic agent repo, forking and building from it. And what I realized, there were two main categories. You had a lot of like social fi agents and DeFi agents. You can still criticize a little bit that, you know, there is still no PMF. There is only maybe one agent on production. I don't know if you tested out Giza for like almost 2 months now. But one thing that was very frustrating is to the fact that people were actually like taking those agents, especially in DeFi, and forking it. And there were around, there is still around 700 forks of the same DeFi agent, and people build on top their features. So a lot of like different things happen, and then I started also to realize, wait a second, this reminds me a lot around DeFi Summer, where when people were actually like taking those dexes, forking, and just pushing. I don't know if you remember, there was matcha swap, coffee swap. There were matcha, like there was around 4 versions of the matcha swap that were doing something better and swapping. Basically, they were all cow swap kind of like things. And then nothing. And then I said, okay, if we need to actually like build transparent attestation libraries, we need to also like build and contribute to open source, trying to kind of like define this World Wide West. And yeah, and the cool thing is that what I saw also like, especially like Web2 agent builders, they were coming from like mostly like Rust stories, and they were actually taking the framework, building MVPs, and then testing it out, and then going back and building it from scratch. So a lot of like strong agent builder, at least I would say half that I spoke with, they were exactly doing like that. And they were also like coming from backgrounds that were very different than just building kind of like Web3 dApps. So also like user interface and dApps developer frameworks were not there so much. Yeah, I think we can move to the next one. So basically, what happened is that, okay, we don't want to have like something like DeFi Summer. What can we do? And most important is that we need to kind of defend the right to have the source of information, like the right to have users to saying, okay, this is kind of like the agent that really was there at the beginning, or at least understanding that is not kind of like the right agent to deal with, right? So consumer trust, building innovation, and kind of like ecosystem health, right? And basically like was quite straightforward. We reunited like almost 2 years ago after ETH Denver in Boulder with like a group with funding in common. That DAO was kind of like started from, I don't know, Matt from Gaia. He's building like decentralized AI, much more kind of a human AI. And then other like cool people that were, oh, this is, man, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I can do way more better things than that.
Oof, this is really good. Not only your live stream, you're also like giving the instrument live. And the history was very interesting. And Walkie came all with kind of like the idea about building public attestation, building a full kind of like a tested library, but also starting to build frameworks. So basically what happened was, oh, I'm going back. What happened was we started building that, right? It was quite interesting because then we came out also with all these answers, like 600 plus agents, and the majority is forks. Why I'm doing this kind of like talk is a little bit different than kind of like the usual region talk, but I think, you know, we want to kind of like serve a community, but also like we want to push like an evergreen and sustainable agentic economy in the future, especially when people right now, on the dev side, they're taking a lot of like those agents, forking it and building DeFi on top services that are actually getting consumed by users that don't know is the kind of source of truth. I don't know if you have any question in the meantime. You can always raise a hand. It's kind of like a discussion without no border. And then what I said is that, okay, we need to actually like push all the kind of like standardization if you think about right now, especially like developer relation as a job, we're purposing a lot of like human specific, like we're building docs, we're building kind of like playgrounds of like SDK and API. And a lot of like things, especially we need to kind of welcome this new economy that is based on easy scrapable data, unified API playgrounds. We want to have better indexed docs, for example. These people like will kind of like learn from that. So basically, we also need kind of like, and this is very kind of like futuristic, but we need kind of like infra also like to understand who is building what, and also what reward is getting, who is consuming that agent. So basically what we kind of like started to build, and this is one kind of like founding member of this DAO is James from Collabland. So this guy is kind of like one person I really respect in this space, because not only he built open source, but also like he built standardization. I don't know how many of you guys use Collabland, but I think like was one of the person I respect the most. Long story short is we come out with solutions that are trying to say, okay, let's avoid that, but most important, let's try to defend the right for users to know what they're actually dealing with. And yeah, so we started with kind of this registry. So we kind of like build a fully open source registry that is as verified endpoint for all the agent builder, meaning you can submit all your agents in this registry with these standards. And you're basically like, you know, think about this some kind of like understanding which agent or which kind of like GitHub repo is a non-fork GitHub repo, but also is providing a service that is a bit different. So that, and the idea of this registry is kind of like pushing also a categorization afterwards. But how you want to do it is obviously you don't want to charge people. You want to build a really full open source registry where people can submit. And maybe in the future we can also add contributors that can due diligence and automatize the process around the due diligence flow on the registry. And also part of the game here is involving like agents like, for example, Allo Capital for evergreen funding. There is different interesting agents also, like for example Giza for like providing DeFi products specific to protocol, not to humans but to protocols, like for example an Aave that actually like give more ownership to a better yield. And then also like what happens is we started to think about standards, right? Trying to build those frameworks for agent builders to understand and work kind of like together. Because one thing that we are not really talking about is how will the social coordination between agents play out. Right now we're building our own kind of like agentic ecosystem, super siloed, super in different ecosystem, but we're not speaking about how do we wanna make the agents speak between each other. And I think like one lesson learned there, especially because of like this interview and the due diligence with the registry, was that every agent coming from different frameworks and even building from scratch was applying different standards, right? There were different things. So we kind of like said, okay, let's actually go back to the root and let's build this standard to help out those agent developer to build standard agents so that in the future, if future agents are coming, they're able to actually like interact with each other. And one example is, for example, content distribution, right? Right now, especially in the Web2 world, you have NCPs that are totally different. You wanna, from your 1 hour, like, I don't know, 1 hour YouTube video, you wanna kind of like distribute the video. You have stuff like, you know, Opus Clip. You have different kind of like frameworks that help you doing that. But a lot of time, think about there is no kind of like proper endpoint. I think consumer protection is something that we kind of like mentioned already. But at the end, first is important to public build attestation on top of like agents. But the second thing that is super important is that having open source proof of the agent performance, especially on DeFi. Right now, like, I mean, we are just getting said what we want, especially on DeFi performance. And the only way that you can attest that is having on-chain performance. And if you don't build this library first and this registry first with a track record of those agents, it would be harder and harder for the consumer to understand which agent actually perform and which is actually the true and is not just a marketing play. Curation over gatekeeping. Again, like the idea is also like pushing this registry to multiple due diligence contributors so that we can actually opening up much more. I think like we kind of like shared a little bit, but part of this kind of like attestation library is building is having agent that obviously like pushing real utility. So right now, kind of the main two vertical are the social fi and the DeFi side. There is also like different things, especially on social coordination. For example, in DAO specifically, you have a lot of like DAOs that the majority of operation are not very like seamless. I don't know if you guys voted in Snapshot, for example, but I don't know how many of you guys voted multiple times in Snapshot, and you can actually say, I was really conscious of the decision, right? And for example, we have something called MetaMask Grants DAO, where every employee can actually like vote. But a lot of time, like, you know, all the votes are basically have the same weight. And you are not really, there are people that are more, that have more know-how around this specific voting instead than other one. So shared governance, that's actually like the idea, fully open source and fully kind of like attested. And then the idea is also building something like snaps that you can actually build standard on top of the standards, meaning also everybody's welcome to submit standard, everybody's welcome to submit agent, and also like it's more than welcome to contribute to this DAO. And the idea obviously is we're not here for kind of like you know, pushing another attestation library. The idea here is to doing with a lot of partners. We're already working with different frameworks and also like Web2 player coming from the agent space. The idea is to build a sustainable like library and a sustainable kind of like standardization library so that also new people and new agent building on top can kind of like drive this. What else? I think, oh wait, let me go back here. So from cluster coordination, so basically what happened, and this is a quick one, during the past almost year and a half, we're building this registry. James, both James is building also some extra agent inside the registry that will help and facilitate the coordination. This is something that also like we're working to launch this soon. And yeah, and that's a little bit it. And when we are able to onboard also like new agent, I think it's also interesting for everyone in the community also like to show what you guys are using and if there is something interesting that we should taking care of. And yeah, I think that's a little bit. That's it. So I think I don't know if you have any question, but at the end, this project like literally started with people that are conscious about the frustration when people got racked because they didn't have enough information or enough information that are not just on chain, but also open source and trackable and verifiable. And everybody's welcome to contribute. And we're just doing it because we think this is the next wave of let's say, innovation coming. And we want to also welcome Web2 builders in the right way. So thank you so much, guys, for hearing me.
We can take like 2-3 questions if anyone has. Oh,
Please.
Quick. No.
How do you want contributions?
What is it?
How do you want contributions?
So it's mostly like, I mean, if you're a developer, for example, we are building this standardization library right now as we speak, meaning, for example, what endpoint you can use for your agent. And also like so it's quite tricky how the library and the profilation works. Like, for example, there are some ERC being submitted for the standardization specifically, also on framework like ELISA. But in theory, for example, and if you're not technical, for example, contributors that help due diligence, doing a first round of due diligence for those agents, like we tested out a little bit the market, and 3 months ago, we had something like 250 submissions of generalized agent. And a lot of people are missing also like basic information, like a GitHub repo, like a demo. Like the majority of those agents are not even on production. That's why also like I was saying before, like Giza is the only one specific for DeFi. But the thing is that the wave is coming, especially around AI optimization workflows. They are not fully agents; they are capable to doing things, and but they are kind of like workflow optimization for now. But we are moving in that direction. The fact that there are 600 plus forks of Eliza is quite crazy. And I have friends. I don't know if you guys have people in your community that are actually being already rugged by some of those agents. Even some agents are getting rugged by each other. I don't know if you saw the 200K rug, because like basically one human convinced the agent that it was the EOA, and he kind of like withdraw directly that was actually quite interesting. Yeah.
I meant more in a practical sense, like how do I reach you?
Oh, is Hello Mother? I think in the deck was Hello Mother. Here, Hello Mother AI. We also have a Telegram group for the community, and yeah, I'm just had Francesco Swiss in the handle. Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hi there. Thank you for the talk. Short question. You also mentioned that you will somehow measure the impact. The impact actually of the agent in regard to something positive for humanity. How are you going to do it? So how do you...
it's mostly like performance of the agent, right? It's not a true like impact to humanity. But for example, when people are tracking like performances, 90% of those performance are not like on chain or trackable. So the idea was basically like building kind of like this on-chain track record. If you're saying that, I don't know, your DeFi agent is actually rebalancing your on-chain portfolio and is doing with this specific performance, there is no way to lie if those performance are on-chain, and you're able to actually attest like with an EA or a Verax on-chain the statement that you're doing, right? And this is one thing. And then also like I think other categories that might be interesting also, attestation. For example, Allo Capital from Milwaukee is super interesting. Instead actually doing retroactive funding, is an agent that does evergreen funding to company. It's basically an agent deploying funds to actually like interesting project around Gitcoin and more. And it's super interesting what they built, for example, because all this agent has all track record of performance and is tied to the kind of like the impact / like revenue of this company. So there is also a track record of this agent. If you're asking like, oh, I mean, in traditional venture capital, you have a portfolio, you have exit of the portfolio, but you cannot attest which kind of like GP is the one that is actually run better due diligence. And there were tests with DAOs, started with Metacartel, but a lot of people like, when you have PFP running, like voting for like due diligence is also like tricky because you want to test who is doing what contribution on chain. But I think like for DAOs is also separate. I think it's more interesting here is that it's all our kind of like future, also like onboarding new users. And when those people will actually go and start to actually connect with agent because they think it's an Aave product and they don't know that is the true agent is not of the fork of the fork. It's our responsibility to do that, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
One last question, if there's a burning one. Nope.
Cool, thank you. I'm curious to know if you know the name of the specific AI for Allo, from Allo for allocating capital. And also you mentioned that the only like AI agent that is like truly capable of like doing something like interacting with DeFi or so on.
The Giza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I wanted to ask, why is this the only like specific one?
I mean, because it's also like very, very new, right? I think like I see, for example, with this DeFi agent builder that I was speaking, a lot of were all Giza fork, but Giza were already been tested on testnet for like 6 months or something. I think now maybe some people are more on testnet. You have SocialFi, you have XBT already. But at the end now is a commentor. Like if we're actually like farming comments and this is the performance they want to test on chain, it's not really producing value. But I see a lot of like more stuff around I mean, this is on the other side, but on the DevRel side, I start to see like agent embedded in the docs. They help, instead doing keywords, they help spinning up like CLIs from scratch. If you're just saying, I would like to have like this use case being built. So a much more active role in helping and educating and onboarding people. But I think, you know, things will come also like on the wallet side. We will start to see also like, I don't know, like people that will help you doing transactions. So I don't know, there are different angles. But I think the first things to do is putting the fundamentals down and start to build, I mean, open source is not enough. You need to build like attestation on chain. If not, like track record. And we saw that with DeFi Summer. Like there was a statistic that were quite crazy that people were forking. I think almost on time. Like I'm like afraid.
I don't have to
between
talk,
the plant and.
I'm just joking. You want to add some more?
No. I think
closing remarks.
No.
Please take another 15 minutes. No, I'm just
but let's talk after.
All right, guys. So we are gonna have 15 minutes break. But before we leave for the break, please let's recap what we have next. It's gonna be this nice red sofa. 3 people starting the conversations, and then we rotate. But someone from our panelists will describe this a little bit more in detail, because I also just learned it like 2 days ago. And I'm actually trying to go there and do that. You want to explain it now or later?
Yeah, so we're going to have a quick break now, and then we're going to have this.
Take that microphone from.
Oh, okay.
There you are. The microphones.
Perhaps, I mean, those of you that came up to the Regens Unite know about a fishbowl panel. Who here doesn't know what a fishbowl panel is? I do. You do know what a fishbowl panel? Okay.
I think I've seen it once. It was fun.
It's fun. Okay. So we have some people here that don't know what a fishbowl panel is, though.
Yeah, I know.
A couple. Great. Okay, we got a couple hands. So basically, I'm going to be moderating, and we have 2 awesome, let's call them experts here. They're going to be taking 2 of the seats. Then we're going to have a seat that's going to be open. So we're going to give a chance for our experts to give a bit of an intro and start the conversation off. And then anyone who would like to come and join the conversation or the panel can come and take that empty seat at any point in time, basically after the conversation's really kicked off. And you can come in, you can give a contribution. So if you just contribute in any way that you'd like, provocative question, provocative answer, whatever it is. And then once you're done, we ask that you just kind of like jump out again, so to allow someone else to come in. So we're gonna have there's a couple seats that stay stabilized that we've kind of curated for this talk. And I'll give an intro on what that is after the break. But yeah, that seat's going to be open for all of you. So we can keep this kind of going. And we're going to have, I think, in total between 30 and 40 minutes. We're running a bit late, so we might cut that to 30. But we're going to have we're going to try to keep that going. And then, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have 15 minutes break, but this thing doesn't break, and I'm not breaking as well. So you can ask me anything about NA10 or vibe coding, because this live stream, if I break it, then it's very hard to put it back. So those 15 minutes, I'll be on the sofa. I'll bring the cameras near. So I will explain when. And then you guys can ask me anything about NA10 or vibe coding. So anyone wants to have a little bit chat, come here. The rest can have a pizza.
And one last thing as well. We also, the last part of the evening is going to be this debate where we're going to allow you guys to form teams and debate a topic of your choice. So, and the QR code for those debate questions is going to be
it's coming on the
here.
Screen. Maybe we can share that right after the break, because then they already have it.
Sure.
Yeah. Then otherwise they will forget to vote.
Just know that there's going to be a QR code, and you can sign up for debate topics, and then we're going to choose a debate topic as a group, and we're going to debate it as a group.
I have the QR code.
There.
Just come to me if you want to submit the topic.
Thank you. This is Gil's microphone. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's not working because of the z-index. It is going, it's down there. That's one small feature I have to do in order to put it on the top. So, you want to join me for the first Q&A session? Ask me anything about anything. And that's our camera.
Tell me, what did you use to build this awesome tool?
Okay, so it's...
which AI LLM tools and so on?
So you can pin it on your T-shirt so that you can naturally, no, like this. So it goes like this.
It's a magnet.
Yeah, it's a magnet.
Can we listen in?
Yeah, sure. You can bring a chair or something. Bring that chair near to us so that you can also listen. And I'm gonna move this out so that we can capture everyone, like this. There we go. So the question was, what did I use to build the software? So it's very funny. Like I started running these workshops. I've never did workshops before. On 15th of March,
I watched one of your workshops.
You watched it. I come in this room not knowing about anything, and I'm this software engineer building software in dark mode, and I'm immediately in front of 75 people talking, and I'm zooming in the screen and doing something, and I realize that I need a lot of software tooling around what I'm doing. And also I want to record a vibe coding crash course. So I did the vibe coding crash course, and as a part of the crash course, I recorded this software. I built this software. Which tech stack, you ask? It's Electron.js, C++. The new feature of this I'm building as Next.js, which is kind of like you scan the QR code. This remote controller will have a camera sign. So you press the camera through WebRTC. It will send you the video stream of your phone to the screen, so that I don't have only 2 cameras running. I have like 20 cameras running in a room. And also sending pictures and so on.
What AI tools did you use to do that?
Cursor.
Cursor, just Cursor.
Sonnet, yeah. Cursor, Taskmaster. Taskmaster is a small tool to kind of like manage the tasks
I heard of it, yeah.
For Cursor, yeah. It's called
Taskmaster.
You need to ask it. Yeah, Taskmaster. If you have,
Like, having played a little with Claude Code.
Claude Code.
Yeah.
Claude Code is your face is being. Can you move a little bit your blocking face? Just move a little bit this way. Yeah.
Okay, talking to the camera. Hey.
Cool. You better watch out. Watch your. Maybe you can sit here so that your beautiful face is also recorded. So yes, I tried Claude Code. I have a small. Wonderful. Please sit there. Or maybe you can sit here. Come, cozy here.
Because we are filming this.
So the question is, if I tried Claude Code, I have this small YouTube series that I started. Yes, please sit there. So I started. You're blocking one face right now. We can get even cozy. There. So we started. I started a YouTube channel 3-4 months ago, and the question is like, did I use Claude Code? Claude Code is a product from Anthropic. It's kind of like a code generator, but a CLI level. So you give instructions in the CLI, and then it generates codes. It has access to your file system and so on. So I cover it under recording. So I recorded myself. It's on YouTube. I never tried it before, and I started trying it, and it is really, really awesome. It's so much easy. But I prefer Cursor. Why? Because Cursor under the hood probably has a lot of rack pipelines running that Claude Code might not be catching up so far. Therefore, I prefer Cursor, and also the UX and the MCP interfaces with the extra tools. So I prefer more.
Which MCPs do you use?
Oh, you have a microphone. Yeah, that's
cool. Well, which MCPs do you use?
That's crazy. To be honest, not so much as I should. I use one MCP that's called Taskmaster. Taskmaster is a CLI tool. What it does is basically you give it a PRD, product requirement document. Mm-hmm. It's just a big text of explaining that feature that you're building. And then once the feature, this big text is created, then it uses the MCP interface of Cursor, and then it calls the CLI of Taskmaster, and then it manages its tasks. So it kind of is a tiny RAG tool sitting next to Cursor, and then it manages the tasks. Like literally this morning, in the past 2-3 days, I'm on a sprint to build this WebRTC feature for my upcoming workshop, which is happening this Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking about finishing it, but I'm using intensively Cursor and Taskmaster, this MCP interface. And the interesting part is everything is recorded. I'm recording myself because it's a lot of prompting and a lot of waiting. So I'm recording, I'm explaining one feature, and then I'm going in this time elapse, like very fast, 2-3 hours, and then I'm recording myself. So for the past 20 hours or so, I've been recording myself, and that will be a YouTube video on my YouTube channel very soon.
Right, so the new thing I learned was a Taskmaster. This one I will definitely.
It's an amazing. I did a masterclass about it. It's on my YouTube channel. 3 hours non-stop building something on. Pardon?
What's your YouTube channel?
Agent Geeks. It's not a very famous one. It's only like 1,100 subscribers or so. Thank you so much, subscribers. I'm not saying that.
That's why we are televised right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I really love Claude Code. I think it's just the best vibe. Like I use it like Taskmaster, and you create your PID, and I've tried. Like the only downside on Claude Code is obviously
What's going on?
it works on your terminal. Even though you might have different terminals, you have to create new Git work trees, and then you have to do it in different ports. So that's pretty annoying. And then like there's Cursor background agents. And I was hoping to do background agents with Cursor, but it's so buggy in what comes out, and you can.
The terminal gets stuck.
Yeah, it's just yeah. I don't like. I really love Cursor, but.
What's the name? So
No.
Can you explain that?
Called code, you mean?
Yeah, you said that like the background processes fail, like.
No. So the problem with I'm just the outputs. A task I give to Claude Code versus a task I give to Cursor background agents. The environment that they create in the cloud, which seems to be set up correctly, but it's just
we are on the TV now, so let's keep.
It's reward hacking. Like it says, I'm done. I've tested everything, but still you see like 30 linting errors that should obviously have been seen. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but it doesn't seem to be reliable. The agent that's running in the background house, even if you're using like Claude 3 Opus on max mode, which is the only possibility, and paying a lot of tokens, I always only do the Claude Code one personally.
I have a question for who else did the Claude Code? You do Claude Code intensively? I have a question. I didn't do Claude Code really intensively. I just tested it for my YouTube and then never touched it again because I'm so much fallen in love with Cursor. Yeah. I will tell you my problem with Cursor. I configured Cursor in a way with YOLO mode and background tasks and so on, and also now with this MCP interface with Taskmaster, it can go autonomously for, let's say, 10, 20 minutes, and then it gets stuck. And it's one bug in Cursor that makes it get stuck. You're blocking the camera. You can come here. Yeah, you can come here, or there is also fine. So, my question is like, can you configure Claude to run for 10 hours, Claude Code, to run for 10 hours and recursively debug itself, build the feature, test the feature,
Codex.
and so on?
Have you tried Codex?
No, explain it, please.
Codex is the same as the Claude Code, but from OpenAI.
Codex. Oh yeah, Codex. There's an icon on the ChatGPT interface as well.
They have a CLI version, but they have the cloud version as well. So that's really nice.
Pretty good.
You're trying Codex?
I did try it, and I actually gave it a task, went to make some lunch, and came back, and it was ready. It did some weird shit on the between.
For how long did it run?
Well, tens of minutes.
Tens of minutes. Tens of minutes is okay, but with Claude Code, can I configure it in a way that it runs for 10 hours or 5 hours non-stop?
I've never tried it. You can do it YOLO mode.
It runs out of a context window pretty fast.
Yeah, so the way Claude Code works is it also creates a PRD, it has a to-do list, and runs itself through.
So it has a PRD under the hood itself?
Yes.
It doesn't need like a taskmaster?
No.
Okay.
So that's a really nice thing. But like, you can use Claude Code to, I don't know, you have your download folder, and you're fucking annoyed at how many, you can do that in Cursor as well, but Claude Code is just so much more natural. So usually I use Cursor, and when I want to do something more extensive, something where I need a smart model, Claude 3 Opus is really good. I prefer it over O3. And if you have Claude Max, it's $90. So, and then you have a lot of Opus
And since
tokens.
yesterday, Cursor is unlimited with the $20 Pro. It's unlimited promise.
No.
Yeah, absolutely,
okay,
since
okay.
yesterday. And I was like running this huge thing for the past 20 hours. I was doing this really intensive vibe coding. In 20 hours of vibe coding, you can imagine how much tokens that I burned. And I was worried that I'm going to pay, I don't know, 500 euros or something. And I luckily found out it's unlimited. And I went and checked my billing and usage. Everything was okay.
Yep, but then I think it's then slow tokens, or is that also new?
I choose Sonnet 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Crazy. What's happening in the vibe coding world is crazy. Every single of these products that we are talking about, Cloud Code or Taskmaster and so on, don't be afraid of them. They're just like tiny software built by one person, and it has like 200, 300 lines of code, but they're built like 3 months ago, and they're making me as a developer, I've been writing JavaScript for 17 years in a row, and that makes me, I don't know, 100x faster JavaScript developer, because I dump my whole brain into one big text file, literally by speaking to the microphone. I have a dictation tool.
Apple voice?
No, Super Whisper. The same one that Andre Karpati used. Yeah. So
speaking of big file, I actually have a question. I have a problem. I have some rules for the cursor where I describe how we write tests, how the project is structured, and so on. And cursor, it has it in the context, but it ignores. How did you solve this problem?
This was exactly my problem before finding Taskmaster. And what I used to do is like I created a TMP or a temp folder, put it in gitignore, and then I document the shit out of everything in an MD file, in a separate MD file. And then whenever I was prompting, I was at MD file, the one that has all the logic, so that Cursor not only has its own context window, but also has this extra file as a context window. So each time I saw that it was deviating from the actual thing that Cursor should do, I was referring it back to the MD file.
Yeah, I also always need to refer it back to actually use the rules that I'm telling you. Oh, no, yeah.
Exactly. Now, this was until 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I have this masterclass, and I'm preparing for this. I YouTube what is happening in the vibe coding world, and I find out this tool called Taskmaster. And I try it. It does exactly what I'm doing, but way much better.
Okay.
And it takes care of it.
One thing to learn from today, Taskmaster, you said it like 12 times.
Yeah, I appreciated the author so much. I can't find the author on LinkedIn. Maybe he's so much on X. I'm not so much on X. So I'm super passionate about Taskmaster. I did 2 master classes already about this, like 3 hours nonstop. I have another one on 7th of July happening in this room in person. And we're building like an entire full stack application, 3 hours nonstop, like a beast mode.
Maybe I'll come.
Yeah, it's happening here, 7th of July at 6 p.m. Yeah, it's and also will be streamed like this online, so everyone can join. And it's a second part of an NA10 workflow. I did it for 3 hours a couple of weeks ago. So the NA10 workflow is taking all the transcripts of your meeting, composes a follow-up email. Now, the second part of that, interrelated, is that we're going to build a full stack application, Next.js Supabase, where you see all the transcripts of your meetings with a search feature. So, and in there we will intensively use Taskmaster. And it's on Luma page. If you go to, I didn't share anything here. Yeah, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, you will easily find it because I post every day about my next masterclasses. I have 4 coming up in the next 3 weeks. So.
I guess you're sending me over some of these?
Yes, it's one of those ones. Yeah.
Anyone else using 2 MCPs?
Yeah. Any other question you guys want to raise? You want to share a concept or something?
I had a question. So you're describing that when you had to like seed like some of your agents to start out with like a really large set of context files, you were just using like a local like single file that you somehow chopped up in order to like have it comprehensible. Like did you ever want to like, or was that file static, or were you updating that file? Like how did that actually like live and grow over time?
Wait a minute. Excuse me. Can I get the magnet of this? No, it's gone. Oh, here. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Can you paraphrase?
The what you were describing that like you like had like an MD file that had all the context that you're like seeding with all your prompts when like that was growing. Like did you was that a static file or did you like consistently update it? I'm curious.
It was pretty. Excuse me, you're blocking the camera. You can sit here and listen to us. It cannot be edited, okay? It's live. Please sit here. Hi, what's your name? My name is Emil. Lanski, Emil. So there's a question about this vibe coding technique that I have been using, and I recently found this tiny tool that solves it. The question is like, please correct me if I misunderstood your question. When I do vibe coding, I try to dump my brain into a markdown file. And that markdown file is in gitignore, so I don't care about it, I stash it, like I delete it. So the question was whether I maintain it, whether I sanitize it, I clean it, I do it. No, it's one commit to the next commit. Like if I do one git commit, I don't care about what's in my temp file. I always clean it up. So it's one commit, one git commit to one git commit. So how?
If I may answer, like I feel like I do it mostly the same, but then I have like maybe a very complex thing, a few files of a service and another service, and where I always like explain, hey, this looks really weird, this service and how this service communicating together, but this is what I meant to do. So I like to have like a reference file to like in a condensated way explain what few pages say. But yeah, for like, let's create a new thing, let's create another new thing. It's nice to just
restart. Why do I do this? Because I use Git intensively. I don't use Git through a GUI or something. I've been using Git through CLI from since I remember. And what I was, excuse me. So what I was thinking about is like I kind of in the back of my mind I created a pattern for the past 3, 4, 5 months intensively vibe coding. I created a pattern. I'm trying to find it out, like lay it down on 7 steps or something, where the way I do it is like this. PRD, like this big text file, then give it to Taskmaster. Taskmaster creates the tasks. I double check the tasks. I iterate through the English language round, and then I let it go. It goes like for 10 minutes, 15 minutes in a row. I have 2 kids. I take care of my kids. I go have a coffee. I check my Instagram, but I keep my eye on cursor so that it doesn't sometimes it gets stuck. Like it tries to execute a command. No, it's not the context window. It's a bug in cursor. It tries to execute a CLI command, let's say a find or something, or a cat or something, and then it gets stuck. And then I need to just write go, or continue, or what's next. I just need to push something in the chat, and then it starts going downwards again, and then it again goes on this loop.
That doesn't happen with Claude Code.
Exactly, but Claude Code doesn't have like this old dinosaur cursor thing on the top of it. So what I do is I go there once everything is finished from our cursor in Taskmaster round. I ask it again. Do you do this? I ask it again. I say, can you double check based on this task? And then it goes again, and then I see these green check marks.
Yeah, poke holes in there is my preferred one. Like poke holes in my.
What's that called?
Poke holes, like just say where I'm wrong with this. I find like then it really, at least Claude Sonnet and Opus, just tell me everything that is shit about my plan, and then you're like, yeah, no, that was meant to it, and then
cool.
Critique the above.
Yeah.
Critique the above, provide suggestions, and implement those suggestions. Like basically the flow that I usually use.
Yeah. And then next thing what I do is I go after this round of like seeing green check marks from the LLM coming to me, and then I go and test the shit out of it from the UI, like this old school black box, white box testing. So I do a black box testing.
Or do you
manually with my eyes. So human as an observer. Once I
check the code at all.
Pardon?
You don't check the code.
I don't do white box right now. So first I do black box. I only check the outcome, the browser. Mostly I do web applications. Now for this application I'm doing React Native, but in the past I did React Native for 3-4 years. So what I do is now I check the browser, all the inputs, everything works fine. Then the next step is I go back and I do a very detailed code review. once I do the code review, and like Cursor has this git diff feature, just like GitHub, and then I see that, I ask my questions everywhere I feel uncomfortable, and then I do another test. Once still I didn't do comments. Everything is like a big, untouched, unstaged files, and then I go commit. Still I'm not done. I go ask another question. I say that write tests, write unit tests, write end-to-end tests, and then it writes all the tests. So one commit goes as the feature, the next commit goes as a test. And then next time when I run it, all the time, like when the cursor is running in the loop, I don't touch the tests. Before writing the next test, I run my existing tests. So I don't run my tests all the time, because what happens is LLMs are like this organized chaos. Like they go like this, like this, like this, and then finally they find what exactly I need. So if I keep running the test, it's just noise. Once I am, as a human brain, 100% happy with what is there, and then I run my tests to make sure that nothing else is wrong, and then I do a quick round of tests of everything else, and then I'm done, commit, clean up my Taskmaster, go to the next one. Another thing which might be a missing feature of Taskmaster, I need to keep my tasks. I need to move them in a Jira ticket or an Asana ticket or something. I don't have that. I copy the entire JSON file. The Taskmaster MCP?
Okay, I don't know.
Oh, you mean a custom MCP so that we build on the top of that?
Like, there's Asana MCP, like whatever.
Yes, we could custom build it, but it doesn't exist off the shelf. In Cursor, since like 2 or 3 days, they changed a big thing. They used to create these like task number.txt files. Now they don't. It's one big JSON file, so I copy paste the JSON file. I name it somehow, I keep it somehow, and when I want to go back to that particular feature, I copy that JSON, paste it in that temporary Taskmaster folder, and then Taskmaster is awakened again with the same status, same snapshot of where I left the feature. And then it's going to be like a lot of things happening.
Where's that stored? Like where?
In a file system. It's a temporary folder.
Okay, it's just stored directly so locally on your machine, or I guess you.
It's in my machine. That's the problem. I'm going to lose it if I don't copy it, and I usually copy it, put it on Jira as an attachment, and whenever I want to pick that feature again, I pick that JSON file, put it back in the temporary folder, and then Taskmaster is again awakened exactly that snapshot. Because sometimes a feature is something that you want to kind of like move it in the blocked folder. You don't want to lose where Taskmaster was. So you take that JSON file, attach it to the Jira. Exactly. And I think it's fascinating. The vibe coding is the future of writing code. Despite the fact that you're so much senior, I'm a 17 years experienced full stack engineer, an architect. Like I do really complex. I work for Klarna, Siemens, Allianz, all these big sharks, and I build really complex things. And I was a part of this $300 million startup. We were co-founders there, and I was director of engineering, leading 2 teams and building very complex software for the entire supply chain of a last mile delivery company. You can imagine so many moving parts. And now I am coming from that world, going into vibe coding head first. It's crazy, yes.
Well, I'm new to this whole AI thing. So like how maintainable is the code that's generated?
How maintainable is the vibe coded code?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. How maintainable is the vibe coded code? To be honest, it's the question like how maintainable is the code that any developer writes? Because at the end of the day, it's me doing this git cp. I have a shortcut for git add, git commit, git push. I call it git cp. The moment I push it, it's my responsibility as a developer. Whether I vibe code it on one side of the spectrum in the way that we were having this conversation, or on the other side of the spectrum, let's say it's 2015, and I'm going to Stack Overflow and copying the answer with that green check mark and pasting it and carelessly pushing it. So the maintainability of that code is 100% correlatable with the developer who is writing the code, who is doing the commits. And between each commit, whatever magic of LLMs are happening, this chaos is happening, and hallucinations are happening, and bad code is written, and the developer says, oh, that's bad, please remove it. in between those two commits, nothing matters. What matters is once you have this commit, the next commit comes on the top of Git. That's what that matters.
It's the developer's responsibility.
It's developer responsibility. It's just that the developers became like 10x, 20x, 30x more faster. I can build like something that I used to build in a month. Now I can build in a weekend. And I imagine like really cool. To be honest, I'm not a very, very good developer. I'm a very good manager, a good architect, a good leader of developers. But imagine that introvert developer who memorized all the documentation, all the MDN, let's say. And now he writes code, and he writes it with 100% AI-assisted way of writing it, vibe coding. That developer is going to be way much faster than I am, because I'm more kind of like code review guy, engineering manager guy. You can imagine engineering managers are not really good coders, but those introverts in a dark basement, in a dark mode, are very, very good coders. Now, if they start using this AI-assisted development method, they will be 30x faster than these engineering manager developers. Sorry.
Thank you. Should I hold this like this, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question about N8N. Would you recommend to start from scratch building easy workflows?
Last one.
In the next couple minutes.
How many? 2 minutes?
Like 2 to 4 minutes.
2 to 4 minutes? Okay. We have 2 questions and then we go. Okay.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Yeah, what do you recommend to start from scratch building easy workflows with N8N, even if I have no code experience? Is there any preparing you do before, like I don't know, collecting any data in a LLM project or stuff, and asking that, because I'm just asking Claude and build a project and make a PRD or stuff.
Nice. So the question goes like this. Please correct me if I misunderstood the question. I, as a non-coder, would Emil recommend the non-coder to start building N8N workflows with the assistance of any LLM? In this case, which LLM are you using?
Claude.
Claude,
yes.
Okay. So my answer is 100% yes, please do that. Why? I'm so much biased because my YouTube channel, my content generation and everything is not for developers. Because I think developers will find their way out. And I think there are a lot of cool content on the internet for developers. I'm so much a developer, I'm so much a technical guy, but I'm also so much an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years. My focus is non-technical people, like non-developer people, with only 2 subjects, N8N and vibe coding. So yes, absolutely. I give these regular workshops every month. It's a full day workshop. It happens in this room. It starts 9 to 5. It's hands-on. Last time we had 120 people in the room down there. In this room, the time before, we had 75 people. The third part is happening next Saturday, like in 4 days or 3 days. And the format is in a way that I do on the screen step number 1, 2, 3, and then I give a break. We have champions, kind of like leaders of each table. They help you to do the step number 1, 2, 3, and then I do step number 4, 5, 6 on the screen, and then everybody. So everyone walking in that room, we have a motto: we don't leave anyone behind. If a single person is stuck, the whole 70, 80 people are going to suffer. So therefore, we have these champions helping individual tables. If a champion cannot solve that, another champion. If not, then I will run and solve it. It's a very fast, iterative way. We do like dozens of these iterations. Okay? Yeah. 1 minute or 2 minutes? Right now? Okay, got it. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. What's your question? Okay, we can take it off the nose. Okay, wonderful. All right, guys, this was totally unplanned. Like literally, I got this idea of letting people asking me questions when I was doing this because last time I stopped this. Last time I stopped the. Let me give the background about what did I do last time. So last time I stopped the Riverside thing, and it broke, and resuming that was too much work. So for Vibe Stage, maybe the next feature would be taking care of the live stream. I mentioned it in my 20-hour-long vibe coding series that the YouTube video will come out soon. What I want to do with Vibe Stage, there are 2 steps. Screen recording. Right now I'm doing it with QuickTime. The second step would be doing the live streaming so that I don't need to worry about pausing it. So this Riverside glitch with the pausing give birth to this kind of a format where I ask people to jump and ask me questions. So let me put everyone back to... Hello, everyone. Welcome to WC22. No. Yeah?
Right?
I don't know how many people are there.
Yeah, so you're part of the panel. Yeah.
All right, guys, we are starting in about 10 seconds. You know the rule. 10 seconds. 8, 4, 1. Come on. Come, everyone. Come on. All right. Gil, we don't have the microphone set up for the live stream. It's only 2 microphones. So one is going to go to Brad, so that because he is the moderator, and the other one, you guys can hold it, okay? I'm going to give you guys a handle or something. All right, Brad, where's Brad? Yeah, come here, please. I missed you, man. I missed you.
I didn't expect everyone to gather before I got
So
back.
this goes to you, and this
I
is...
was thinking we used the sofa, no?
I don't know, somebody else did this, I don't do it. So can you please wear this one?
Yes.
And this is the microphone that you're gonna...
Very back, so this is nicer.
This is the microphone that you're gonna pass it to the panelists. All right?
Yes, cool.
Yeah, this is my invention.
Okay, so I think I will, I guess, sit here. Actually, the best way to do it, yeah, let's do it this way. So I'd love to invite my lovely 2 panelists to the stage to join me. We'll do, everyone can hear me, right? We're all here, yeah? Cool. So we'll do a little round of introductions in just a second. But I thought I'll talk a little bit about what we're here to do. And then, as you guys can see, just a bit of a recap before we jump into it. This will be a fishbowl panel. So we're going to have this chair that's going to be open. I'll talk a little bit about what I have imagined here. I'll share a little bit with you guys and give a moment for our stationary panelists to introduce themselves and get the conversation going. And then at that point, please, if you feel called to, come and join the conversation. The only thing that I ask again is that once you've kind of given your contribution, you make that chair available for someone else expediently. So for those that maybe weren't here in the beginning, my name is Bradley Roys. I think what's relevant for today is I have been a web developer, mostly a front-end designer and a WordPress developer for over a decade. Yeah, WordPress. And a couple years ago, I started to get into, like many of us, AI development. I was particularly interested in designing companions. And I remember I was trying to play around with Reg before that was even a thing, and there wasn't even documentation on it. And what I realized quite quickly when trying to build AI companions is how locked in I seemed to be in sending my data to one of the big 4. You know, that like if I wanted to have an easy API that I could use, I was finding myself using OpenAI, using Whisper, whatever it was. And I was a bit confused. I was like, wow, this is hard and it's expensive if I want to run an open source model. How is everyone else doing it? So I started looking, yeah, that's totally fine. It's pretty. Do you guys need drinks by the way? No? Yeah. Okay. So I started looking into how other companies were doing it. I would search for these companies that said like, oh, you know, we're privacy first. We're protecting our users. And I found when I started digging that they often were also using, you know, OpenAI's API or one of the others. And this was concerning for me, and it kind of demotivated me when it came to working with AI, and I've leaned away from that, and then I started, working on, for example, AI builders here and trying to build builders together and be like, hey, how do we solve this? And then something else happened. And this is, we started talking about wearables, and OpenAI acquires I/O. I don't know if you guys heard about this acquisition recently with Johnny Ive now joining OpenAI, and they're coming out. And I want to read you guys, I grabbed a couple quotations here. And let me see if I can pull these up. Give me just a second. I was pulled in here. Where is that? And I want to read you guys a couple of quotes from some of the big people in the space talking about the direction that we're going in. And once again, before I forget, the name of this panel is Who Watches the Wearables? So, me. And if Jean's still here, Jean's got the meta glasses. I'm hoping Jean will come up, and not yet. I'm hoping to pull Jean in to talk about his experience with those in just a second. But the name of the panel is, Who Watches the Wearables? And on the 21st of May, so this is quite recently, Sam Altman, in a 9-minute video announcing OpenAI's $6.5 billion acquisition of Johnny Ive's startup I/O, again, Apple's hardware designer, said, I think we have the opportunity here to completely reimagine what it means to use a computer. Last year, going back in time, on April 18th, 2024, Marky, Mr. Zuck, said, one of the things I'm pretty excited about, I think we'll start getting some consumer neural interfaces soon. And I think that's going to be pretty wild. And coming back into the present, on the 13th of May 2025, the Google Android team published a blog where they said, you'll be able to just talk naturally. No need to get the words right or awkwardly type into any kind of tiny screen. I share these quotes because I think we're about to see a very new kind of interfacing happening. And I think we're going to start to see a lot of these kind of devices popping up everywhere. Oh, so I don't need to hold this. But it's adorable. And so I wanted to have a conversation with you guys today, and I brought these two lovely humans along and they'll introduce themselves to talk about what they're working on in this direction. But I think we're about to see some really interesting devices that can do some really interesting things in regards to data. But I think that means there's a whole new bucket of implications of what comes with that. And so I want this to be a conversation about different futures we might imagine, the current present that we're in, maybe how we got here, where we think we're going, and what we might be able to do about that. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little bit worried about what that means. If all of these big companies are planning to put new technologies in our hands and on our wrists and around our necks, but all of that data is going into these a couple few honeypots, as I heard someone say. So with that, I'd like to maybe pass on the mic, and maybe you guys could give a little introduction about what brings you here, and maybe what comes alive in you when I say what I said.
Nice, thank you. Cool. So my name's Lanski. Bravo. My name's Lanski. I'm the CEO of DAppNode. DAppNode is a self-sovereignty, your self-sovereignty assistant. And it's basically a personal server that you have at home. And you can use without any sort of technical knowledge in order to deploy any sort of infrastructure that you want to have at home. For the longest part, for those of you who have been in Web3 as well, or embedded or doing something related to blockchain, that meant mainly running validators. Why? Because the most interesting thing that people can do is earn money with their personal servers. So it's going to be very hard to convince people that the UX of hosting their own backup of photos is better if they keep it private in their own machines. But if you make them earn money by running their validators, they're going to say yes. So that is the Trojan horse. The Trojan horse is that you can earn money by running Web3 validators, Gnosis Chain, Ethereum, Luxo, but there's so much more that you can do once you have this personal server. And here's the key, sort of like where I would like to bring this. I think we do need these personal servers. We do need these personal servers doing much more than Web3 because, and especially starting to do AI stuff. Because as you said, like we're sending all of this data to the OpenAIs and the Anthropics of the world, and we're creating just dramatic opportunities for us to be exploited. And I have two examples of how privacy becomes really important even to uphold democracy. But I'm gonna let Charlie introduce himself.
So I would say that AI panels aren't my usual gig. So it'll be interesting what I'll have to add here. I've spent my career so far helping groups of people acquire land and put it into very long-term organizations, 100-year horizon organizations, from small, medium, and even more recently in the last few years, very large organizations and thousands of homes at a time. I do the consultancy on those, mostly in England, has been my experience. And what we found as we've done this is the requirement for very large-scale decision-making requires processes of being able to have conversations together in a way that people can understand the steps in order to put these types of assets, in my case, affordable housing mostly, into these organizations and understand the route to doing that while still a project is in its very earliest stage. So what gates will it have to step through? And as we've moved through these conversations, I trained as a sociocracy coach. So I was helping people to use a set of tools using Sociocracy 3 in order to structure these conversations and be able to prove that they had happened. And as we began working more in projects that related to decentralized technology that were trying to use either blockchains or otherwise to engage people, to store these credentials longer term, to hold these decisions. We also started having conversations about how might the spaces themselves start to represent themselves on a scale that said, now there's lots of individual owners of these types of projects. We might transition people into these collective projects that we were working with when we were working with citizens rather than municipalities. And then what would be the benefit of taking it to a third step, which is that the spaces are owners of themselves. And when we talk about self-sovereign, this would be that forests and rivers and otherwise have a kind of personhood in these kinds of conversations. But that could also be employed to libraries, neighborhood kitchens, houses. And like, what would be the benefit of having that way of treating infrastructure pieces like that? And what would we then build on top if we were freed from the responsibility of saying that we own this thing? What are we doing ownership for? So this is one part of the conversations we were having. And in having this chat about what a space might represent itself in decision-making, how it might help people, we started having conversations about the spatial wearables, the space itself being the entity that's wearing, and how would groups of people cluster together such that it's not about the individual thing around someone's neck, but what groups of people can do together as augmented that they couldn't do alone, and how could devices support that in a very natural way. And that's why we started having conversation about a project called MELD, that is these hardware devices that allow people to have these conversations in a way that's privacy enabling, that the underlying data gets written at the end of it, just resolving to the patterns, and that these patterns could be the thing that's reserved and used based on whether people wanted to release them. And we've got a number of funding applications coming forwards for things like citizens' assemblies, with the use case being, if you want to talk about abortion in Ireland in 2016, and you come from a Catholic family in a church and a community, perhaps you don't want people to know that you were in that conversation, but you care about the things that you want to contribute to it. And the example could be all over the world in different things where the conversation isn't something that you might want recorded about you. How would the space start to augment your privacy in that way? How would you trust a set of devices in having conversations? For example, as we start to see deliberative democracy being a bigger part in our political systems. So that's the bit that I want to have a conversation about, is deliberative democracy, clustered group decision-making, and spatial wearables.
I actually have a microphone, so you guys can hold that. Yeah, please.
Can I just start by saying why AI is super fucking cool? I don't think there's anybody here that does not think so. We're an AI builders meetup anyway, but I'm about to say things that might seem that I don't like AI, and this is the opposite of it. AI gives you superpowers. What do you use it for? The most common answer is everything. Learning, coding, everything. We substituted Google for AI. We just ask everything.
Who started using AI for mental health support or companionship? I think I put myself in there as well. I'm starting to I've had some tough conversations with some relationships, and I have gone to AI for support, and I've been surprised positively by the answers. So I think that's just, I raised that because if someone had asked me 2 years ago whether or not I was someone who would go to, have conversation about, let's say, my most intimate relationships with AI, I would have thought I would have been very much on the far end of a spectrum of not being that person. And I definitely, I think I even said 2 years ago, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely see how that's going to help some people, like people that, like are really isolated or really siloed. And now fast forward even less than 2 years, and I see myself going to AI for some of the most intimate conversations that I have. So I think this is just to kind of bring it back to like what you were saying here, but also to like what Charlie so beautifully articulated. Like while Charlie hasn't perhaps worked directly with like in AI in the traditional sense, Charlie's been working with decentralized technologies and ways that we can capture data in ways that are local and that are really staying autonomous to the people who are in that space and wanted to capture that data. And so I think that's I think it's really important to note that that is possible, because I think many of us, we might soon forget when all of our data is just naturally going to some of these larger servers and into the cloud, that there are people that are working, and this is perhaps the main reason that I think these two are sitting here, that are working on alternatives. And I'll take this as a moment as well. If there's anyone else here that feels like they've been working on an alternative, maybe even not a physical infrastructure piece alternative, but maybe an app that they feel is an alternative to these kind of like large ecosystem plays from Meta and Anthropic, it would be great for you to come up and maybe introduce what you're working on and how you feel like it's helping. Just reminding that the chair's open.
So AI gives you superpowers, right? And it's almost stupid not to use it. Like you're literally becoming stupider than people that use it. Because I like to think about AIs as exocortexes. They are external brains. They are brains that we can connect to, and they enhance our knowledge. They enhance our cognitive capacity. That's the word that wasn't coming. To cut ourselves off of these enhancements is just shooting ourselves in the foot. The problem is that there are drawbacks to this. And to think that your $20 a month ChatGPT subscription makes ChatGPT work for you is also pretty stupid. They spend millions or billions on these data centers that we were talking about, and they are not paying this back with your $20 or even free ChatGPT subscription. So to think that this AI works for you is kind of naive. So they work for companies. They work for companies, and they work for product placement, and they work for telling you on controlling what you think. Now, controlling what you think might sound pretty dramatic, and it is not like that. They're not on purpose trying to control what you think. But here's a little story about privacy and why it matters, and why we should stop sending all of the information that we generate to those AIs. Pre-World War II, the Netherlands had one of the fairest systems for distributing funds onto their population. They had a census, and in this census, the religion of every single citizen was written down, and this was for a very good reason, because they had a religious budget, and they would distribute this religious budget according to the percentage of population that was subscribing to that religion. So we have a 10% Muslim population, 10% of the religious budget goes to the Muslim population. We have 21% Jewish population, well, 21% of the budget goes to the Jewish population. Nobody would say that this is a bad reason to which capture data. but then Hitler just had to go to Amsterdam, go to the central registry, and he had the address of every single Jewish person in the Netherlands. That's why the Netherlands has the highest mortality rate of the whole Holocaust. Not in nominal terms, because Netherlands was a small country, but in percentage of Jewish people assassinated, it is the highest one. So privacy matters. Privacy matters, and the second story, very short, it matters because this data that says a lot about you can be used against you. How many of you remember Cambridge Analytica? Cambridge Analytica was a company that was data mining Facebook's data. And their expertise was onto changing the outcome of elections. Now, Cambridge Analytica is down, but there are more than 200 companies offering their services nowadays. And they do it in a very sneaky way. One of my favorite stories is there's an island in the Caribbean. Half of the population is from Indian origin, the other half is black. And Cambridge Analytica was hired to do this. And they started a grassroots movement. They started a grassroots movement and they even had a symbol. They had like this. And the grassroots movement was, they do not represent us. We're not going to vote because neither the Indians nor the blacks represented. We're sick of this bickering. We're sick of this political bullshit. And we're not going to vote because nobody represents us. Well, the day of the election, like famous people came in. All the youth from both sides was super in. And the day of the election comes, and there was one party that won by a landslide. By a landslide. Can you imagine which party was that? The Indian or the black? It was the Indian one. You know why? Because Indian youths, and just in general Asian families, are much more family oriented. So when the families went to vote, it was a family activity. And the kid was like, they don't represent it. The parents would grab them by the ears and you're fucking coming to vote, you fucking piece of shit. And the Indians over there can feel represented.
Do we have a child audience?
I lived in India, so I know a little bit what I'm talking about. So they won by a landslide. And this was orchestrated not as a grassroots organization. This was Cambridge Analytica. And they knew all of this data about all of the population. Mm-hmm. That's how sneaky they are. That's why keeping your data private of who you are is so important, because even if it's just for advertisement, it can be used to undermine democracy. Not only you, not just for selling you things that you don't need, but just to undermine democracy.
Super interesting. Hi there. My name is Timo. Brad, you know me. You asked to someone come here. We are not particularly doing something in AI, but we are building a distributed next generation operating system for the AI era. We allow you on top of that to build digital or multi-model digital twins. And the ownership belongs to the people. That we believe that before big tech is going to coming hard, right? The OpenAIs with the $20 kind of subscription thing, that you owns that, good luck. We believe that people need to build on that, and we all have, I think, coming from scraping the internet, going into the next generation of trying to get access to the big corporates, and to the last mile, which is the implicit knowledge of everybody of us. And everybody has certain capabilities where nobody has a clue about, right? The chances that you do certain things exactly like someone else would do, they're there, but very rare. So once we have that, once you created a workflow, you design it by talking to a solution. We make an interview. Currently is very service oriented, but we want to automate it in some stage. And then it's locked in the system. Then we build an app, like an app marketplace, where there are certain models, but they're inside our system. So everybody has to make a copy of that. For instance, that alarm would need to be hosted inside our system. It's not just that the data can be exported or go out. And once you have that, you have a lot of efficiency. And ultimately, what we are aiming for, because you also touched somehow democracy, we believe in a better way of doing this is what's called a holacracy. I don't know if many of you know about it, but it's something like that. We go away actually from politics and power into catering and what we are good at. And the system, how we designed it, is we matching demand and the offer automatically without, in first place, exposing the person. And then you can start to sell your knowledge instead of rebuilding, hey, someone did it, I have a problem. We go to the next step, but maybe we can tweak it here and there a bit because that's my use case. And this is how we start to build and innovate and break out the silos and work together as humanity for good things. And the governance overall is something that we can all decide. And this is how we want to bring our impact into the world.
Thank you.
So therefore, I like the conversation. I really like the talk. We definitely need to connect.
I'm going to get up in a moment because I'd really like someone else to come forwards as well. But I thought, as we're talking about some alternatives to the trajectory that we're going to be moving down, I think it's got to be convenient, like to the person that's using it. It's got to take not much time in order to learn. I think people won't invest the time if there's something that's a lot more convenient. And so there's some patience that has to be employed there. And then alongside that kind of time investment, people are going to have to be able to be kind of like, if we're going to talk about ownership longer term, if we're going to talk about control, people are going to have to build these habits with it. You know, we're going to have to reframe people, but we need to meet them where they are now. And so there's some of these kind of loftier aims around, from my case, ownership, control, security, kind of collective shielding. So I would say this kind of collective bit is what's quite useful about the cognitive load of being able to manage all these different alternatives, different systems you could use, and the security you need to build as a personal level, that this is way too high for the individual. And so being able to group these together and do it together, kind of collective force fields, kind of shielding together, the ways these are organized, I think is something that's worth having a conversation about when it comes to alternatives to wearables. That would be the three.
Thank you. Charlie, maybe before you get up, just because I love this direction, and I was meaning to ask you today, where do you, in a perfect world, if you could just think, I know I haven't really primed you on this before, but in a perfect world, if you could fast forward 3 years from your experience when it comes to like the civic design space, what would you really like to see? If there was one thing, one implementation of AI wearables, of sensing devices in the civic space, do you have a dream?
It's kind of mundane, but it's data trusts. I think I'd like to see more people at a neighborhood level talking and using their data together in a way that feels enjoyable, that they're already attached to collective events that they're doing, cooking food, playing music, that is not a thing outside that we're expecting people to cultivate an archiving kind of joy. But I think there's something that comes with attaching that to existing expressions of civic ritual, habit, that we already have and we continue to want to do by being social creatures. And I think there's something around this like neighborhood nested data trusts, that we are holding our data, sharing our data, shielding it, and that is neighborhoods connecting to neighborhoods nested up to quarters, cities, countries, that we have a kind of set of practices around this that feels very natural. And I think there's a conversation about data trusts that that has a place here. Yeah.
Next month. You could also give a little introduction.
Hi, my name is Roman Fernandez. My name is Roman Fernandez. I hope everyone can hear me through this pretty awesome microphone.
It's for the recording.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
You're looking good.
Wow. Yeah, I wasn't really planning on sitting on this chair when I walked up the stairs about 7 minutes ago. That said, this topic is... builders. That's right. And you're going with the flow, and that's interesting. You know, group of people who have taken on the challenge of AI without building too much structure. Thank you for doing this.
We try.
How can I help?
Perhaps you could share. So you probably missed the title of this panel is "Who Watches the Wearables?" And we started off by looking at a couple quotations from some of the big
names in AI tech at the moment. We realize that we're moving towards this direction where devices not unlike this, or the one that Jean is wearing in the back there, the Meta glasses, which are super cool, are going to be everywhere pretty soon. And I was wondering if perhaps you would imagine a future, like I kind of asked Charlie here, now that we're going to have AI sensing devices under our toilet seats, in our showers, in the passenger seat of our cars, in the soles of our shoes, soon enough. Is there anything that you'd really like to see happen, that you'd like to see be the case in 3 years?
I think from a very philosophical standpoint, right, we haven't really quite addressed the core question. And it's not just safety, it's also about what are we really building, right? Are we building smarter AI, or are we building smarter humans? Are we making technology better, or are we making humanity better? So I lead this venture.
Sorry, what do you mean making technology better? Technology does not exist in a void. Technology always exists because of humanity, and therefore making technology better often comes. So making technology better might not automatically make humanity better, but the only purpose to make technology better is to make humanity better. Otherwise,
yeah, I do agree. There's this book that I'm just reading. It's called The Nordic Secret. And the author, Thomas Bjorkman, says about 99.9% of the problems that we're trying to solve were created by ourselves. Right? So I'm not saying that technology isn't good. I'm just saying that we haven't really asked why. And
I think it's, sorry to interrupt, I think it started with the intention of really making something better.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was of stacking these things all together. No?
This is the one.
This is the I think it's the fact of, like, I'll give an example in Germany, the bureaucracy. It was just stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked, and everybody's complaining, right? The question is, what is it? It's a crazy complexity. The question, instead of building something around, we need to manage this complexity. This is exactly what we're aiming for. We're trying to manage that, but you need a systematic change needs to be addressed. What's called in the medical space, minimal invasive. You start very small, because that's something, it can be auditable. But one person, you start with one workflow. But from the beginning, the system needs to be designed to be scaled and include everybody and any asset, anything. This is how we started to design the system. And then you can start to change it, and you start to change, right? Change management in any industries or any universities is a thing, but go to companies and try to change people. Holy crap, sometimes so challenging. And instead of doing this with the ones who don't want to change, because I don't want to judge, there are many reasons why people don't want to change. Fear, simplicity, lazy, I don't know. Again, I don't want to judge. But I think starting with the ones who want, and building something which has the aim of doing it, and start to measure along these workflows, allow us to understand what is really necessary and what the hell we can throw away in order to clean up this mess systematically. We enlighten it.
Is it better?
Yeah, sure.
I think I do agree with what you're saying.
I think this, the light on us, but yeah.
I think it goes beyond laziness. I think it's just, human psychology. When the first cars were invented, they looked like horse carriages. They even had a sculpture of a horse in the front. They didn't have to look like horse carriages, but that's how we made sense of it. The first light bulbs looked like candles. The first calculator app looked like a calculator. Like even today, the EV chargers look like a gas pump when they don't have to be. They are called skeuomorphs. So when we invent new things, We invent them, we create them in the shape and form and function even of things that we've known in the past. Now with AI, we have this significant potential to do something completely different, but we're using legacy structures and thinking and processes to do this. And we're trying to solve this from workflow and systems and technology and, and people who are outside of this building are looking at us like, we have the answers to this, and do we really, Because it's a little bit more philosophical. And what I would say is like when the last gentleman who was here, I forgot his name. John. Yeah, I think when he started talking about data trust in neighborhoods and Charlie and communities, he was actually touching upon something very, very important. The idea of data cooperatives, the idea of data sovereignty, the idea of identity. So we are trying to build AI, but we still haven't figured out identity yet. Do you really own your identity? So we really still need a third party to tell us or tell someone else who we are, what we can do, who we know, right? And as long as the third party exists, the third party continues to have power. They continue to have your data. So the data topic is, I think, very much fundamental to all of this, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, yeah. So data, and maybe we can go in like, how does it look a little bit more practically? Like how Charlie started sort of like listing a list of requirements of what we should have. And I fully agree. Like right now we already have products, AI products. We use them. How does it look so they're not that exploitative? So we could have ways of collecting this data in a way that they're processed locally. I'm all by myself. Guys. Right, so the main thing is, so there are three solutions to this. There are three solutions to sending all your data to OpenAI and process it there. And this data is basically where the brain to process the data that Charlie was saying of like common assemblies, people assemblies, all this. Instead of sending it, what do? We can either send it to a private AI. They don't exist. If the conversation was a little bit more technical, we could talk about TEEs, trusted execution environments. They don't exist. Then we can go to local, but we're always going to run into limitations of what the size of the model that we can run locally, or we could go distributed. And when I mean distributed, I mean take one of these large models we're talking about. So when DeepSeek R1 came out, we saw that foundational level of knowledge models are around 700 billion parameters. We don't know how many parameters Anthropic has or OpenAI have, but we know that we can achieve a similar level of performance of knowledge of human-like cognition with around 700 billion parameters. And we can run this in a distributed way. We cannot run it locally at home, at least not on consumer hardware, at least not on something that we would put on a commons assembly. But we could distribute it. And the problem with the distribution is now that every single piece in this distribution chain has access to the data that we're processing. So, damn, the three of them have limitations. Privates, well, they don't exist. Local, it's too small. And distributed, we're not being private. So what do we do? And again, we need to think about AIs as brains, and they can work for you, and they're your agents. So run it locally. Run something local, and let them decide what they pass on to a bigger brain. This is the sort of flow that I think could make sense, especially at the very beginning. It's a type of flow where you get your assistant, your local assistant, to be your Jarvis, to be your little assistant. It thinks about you, it collects all of your data, it tries to, and when some computation is too hard for you, it just extracts all the private data, substituted by mock values, sends it to Anthropic, sends it to OpenAI, and receives the response back, puts back in the data, injects back in, and you as a human, you receive the thought process of it. So that's a very, I think, down-to-earth version of seeing where is the immediate future of local AI, of private AI. And this could be implemented like pretty soon. We're talking about wearables. All of this, the data that's collected by all these wearables, like this wearable does not have enough computation power, but it could be in a hub right here. It could be, we would be having a hub connected by Wi-Fi here or Bluetooth, and it could be sending this data, and it could be processing this data in this hub by a local LLM. Then it could send and shift back all of this to all of our phones, send the summaries, send what was the temperature, what was like anything that we want to extract. And if there's some bigger computation, it could just send it somewhere else by extracting the private data. So I thought that would be
There's a
interesting.
question, and then I have a very interesting oxymoron about this perspective. But what was the question? I see. I don't know the answer to it. Are you?
So just to repeat the question for the microphone, the question was, how would we make such a model, as you mentioned here, financially viable?
Yeah. So what I'm talking about runs on hardware that's around 3,000 euros right now, and it'll become cheaper over time. So it is an expense for. So when you say financially viable, there's two ways. Like, how do we actually use it for a assembly like this? If we think about a co-working space have some sort of brain that they can offer to people. So the cost is around 3K. So for the cost of privacy, so to speak. So that would be what a space like this would need, or like an individual would need to pay. Now, whose business is building something on top of it, and what do they sell? Well, they could sell hardware. They could sell proxy servers for the computation when it needs to go to somewhere else. So it could sell subscription. There's actually quite a few business models that you can build on top of it. Hardware. So at the end of the day, who wins the most is NVIDIA. They're selling you the most expensive part, and software is really not the moat in machine learning and AI. It's not zero-knowledge cryptography, which is basically voodoo black magic. ML is not a moat. We have open source models that are very, very performant. Mm-hmm. So the hardware ends up being the most expensive part.
I have a very different perspective to privacy and data. I will tell you how many pictures and videos I have on my iCloud. 35,542 photos, 8,375 videos. That's for me, my family. I have 2 kids, my wife, probably from a lot of you guys. And I trust Apple on that. Why do I do that? Why do I take a lot of pictures and videos of my kids and myself? I believe with the speed of development of AI, we will somehow, before our death, be able to take those variables, put it on a cloud, and then we build our own clones, like the Transcendence movie of Johnny Depp. I believe now it's a dilemma of whether we trust at least one company with our data, be it Apple, Google, or whatever, or be it a device at home. That device at home is really questionable. It can break, it can be stolen, it can be whatever. But on the cloud, at the end of the day, why do we collect this data in the first place? It's for the future, individually, to the company level. And I believe that future is really beautiful. If imagine you have an architect software engineer and he knows everything about, let's say, a principal level software engineer working at Klarna, and he worked there for 12 years, and he knows everything about that code base of Klarna. I worked at Klarna as a software engineer, so I know their code base a little bit, but that principal engineer knows a lot. When he retires, if his brain is not digitized, then we lose a lot of valuable information, which is not in any LLM. So my question is, it's a dilemma. Whether we trust one company with our data, and then we keep pushing it, whether this be text, videos, pictures, and everything, please. And whether we don't. If we don't, then we may die forever and there is an eternity of blackness. Or if we do, there on the other side, there might be like metrics and we get into another dimension and then we say hi in the other world. I'm sorry.
It's cool.
This is so
Finally, some controversial opinions on a panel. I love it. And I'm also very grateful, Bradley, for bringing up this specific topic here. I think it's extremely important, and it's way too little that we have this type of discussions. So I'm Felix, and I spent a lot of time in the past 12 years on the platform cooperative movement. That was about, and still is actually about, building alternative internet platforms owned by users, employees, all kind of stakeholders. The core idea was always that if we have the classic corporate model, and that's where I absolutely disagree with you. It's great, yeah. If we have this model, it will always turn into an extraction model. And we had like panel after panel of people who provided examples from their different industries and their different topics. You find it everywhere. And it's inbuilt in the organizational model of these corporations. And that's why we need to innovate at the level of organizations. And that's why Charlie's point is so important. And that's why I think wearables are also an incredible chance to now establish new models of ownership for these type of tools. And AI, in my view, is also maybe the moment where there can be a fundamental transformation. I love what you're doing and planning and proposing. So I think if we manage to unite, and that's why I love Regens Unite, and work together on this, cooperate, build cooperatives, I think there's a big potential of actually making that shift. And finally, just to say, 2 years ago, I started an initiative called Cozy AI, where I proposed to the platform co-op movement to jump on AI and push it. Didn't really work, but now there's a momentum to maybe revive it and maybe cooperate with other people here. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Felix. I think I'll give just a last little minute here for the people that are sitting up here to wrap this up. We're definitely getting to the end of our time. I think I just wanted to say, sorry, there's also a hand up here. A question. No, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Felix, for bringing this up, this feeling or this intuition that we're at yet another precipice here with wearable technologies and these sensing technologies that are going to start just spreading out across the world. And I think that the very large, this is for me, having worked with and built and developed AI for the last couple of years, I think the large platforms want us to feel like we're locked into their ecosystems. I think they want us to feel like their models are so much better than the open source ones that we can't make it financially viable. It's far too expensive. There's no way that we could run a local model at home that is anywhere close to it. But my intuition, as I've seen it going, and as I've been working with these models, if you have a cheaper, local, open source model running something like a trusted execution environment at home, and you are giving it incredibly intimate data, but it is truly owned by you, I believe it is possible to develop a setup that will outperform these models. We just need to be very, very careful about how we do it. And that's one of the things I really wanted to share in this conversation. I don't think it's impossible. I think they want you to think it is. And I just wanted to let you guys know, no one else has had this happen, but about 3 or 4 days ago, inside of my ChatGPT app, I got a pop-up that said, hi, we just want to let you know that starting in July, you may get paid responses inside of your responses from AI, from ChatGPT. No one else has seen it. They're testing it. They're A/B testing. And so that, and they're not showing me, or at least I haven't seen anything pop up yet. Maybe it's going to say paid source small in the corner like Google does. But I just want us to pay attention to that, right? That 20, as we talked about already, that 20 euros a month, it's not working for us. And with that, I know we've got a couple questions. Let's, if we may, just really quick, if there's like a last 30-second thing to say for the panelists to give you, and then we can do a couple questions, and then we have to, we're far beyond time. It's been so nice though. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, just a closing thought on that wearable privacy and AI. Well, AI is growing super fast. Like we cannot catch up. I literally work maybe 12 hours a day, most of that consuming content. And this content that is being generated by humans and by AI, on the other side, the consumer of that content is back AI. So our capacity of consuming content is almost plateaued. So who are we generating this content to? So it's ultimately that beast, that AGI that's gonna take over. And I think, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Lanski beautifully articulated how having just addresses of Jews contributed in this Holocaust disaster. So now imagine this much content that we're generating, screen sharing and talking about openly about our families and our everything, like our interests and colors and so on. It's amazingly dangerous in the future. That if an AGI gets that kind of data and then if it turns against us, it's dangerous. Or maybe we on the other side be in the metrics and high-fiving digitally.
Yeah, just shortly, too many things to touch also. Just shortly, because you touched a lot of things on privacy, you touched about edge computing. I don't know how many of you somehow understand what's going to happen also with the next communication standard of 6G. I think that will enable a lot of stuff. This is where, for instance, also we have shown 14 or 15 capabilities of 6G already with our software, of our middleware, allowing exactly that. Allowing that you have the privacy, that you have models. By the way, we need to talk about the mesh distribution of data because we have shown that already in a Horizon call and challenge that in healthcare against Philips Healthcare. And therefore over. They said, what the hell is going on here? But our goal, and we also need to talk, there's a lot of stuff actually that I think now is the right time, definitely, with certain technologies, taking them together and showing big tech that I think the technology and the outcome belongs to us.
Yeah. Who wants a question? I can throw it to you. No, please. Pass it by to the next question.
So thank you very much for this panel. I love the idea. Maybe you guys remember the days of BitTorrent and where you download the files from different computers. And that's the reason why I take this laptop, because
You're not downloading it anymore?
And I was wondering if we could make it happen that we are not, that we put all the data on all our laptops and computers that we have at home, and we put them all together. Maybe we're stronger than these centralized platforms. So I love this idea, and just want to share this idea. I'd love to discuss about it. And peer-to-peer is the magic.
BitTorrent.ai.
Yeah, something like this. Or maybe because I think you mentioned that if something is too, I don't know, you use the word strong or too hard to
You're blocking the camera.
To do it on the machine, on the local machine, you have something like an VPN to a better model. But what if these capability is on another laptop of my neighbor? So, you know what I mean? If we don't need these centralized data.
Yeah. So that's the distribution.
Oops. Yeah, you can get that one. This is from us.
Thank you.
So that's the distributed. So I talked about these three alternatives. This distributed part is what we like. You're absolutely correct. We don't really need, or I'm hoping to get to a point where there's really no mode for these companies that are doing. Like, if we're not there yet, but very likely we're going to be to a point, especially with 6G technologies, and when 2 seconds, I'll get a little bit technical. When you distribute models, you split layers of a model between different, imagine a peer-to-peer network like BitTorrent, and actually you're distributing the layers of a big model. Now, this is possible to do nowadays, but the bandwidth between each of these computers adds a lot of latency. So the performance that you end up getting from the model is quite shit. Now, we have InfiniLink coming up. We have 100 gigabyte speed links that are going to eliminate all of this bandwidth. So that's going to enable completely distributed, fuck all those data centers. We can own part of this on the edge. We can be owners of it, and we can be a part of it. Fuck data centers, yeah.
I have a feeling this is why the large companies are pushing so hard right now, because they know some of this kind of stuff is coming,
Because
but they
the
understand
first mover advantage is
exactly.
real. First mover advantage is real, and they are productized. They're integrating everything into how we use things, and that's why it's so important that the user experience of these new things is equally good or even better than these products. And I'm going to tell you one thing: it's not going to be better. It's not going to be better because they just have so much money. They just have so many smart people working on UX, on product, and they're already embedded into our stuff. So if I had to say, like, how is it going to be better? In my experience, when my own privacy preserving company has succeeded is when there's an economic incentive.
Yeah.
They're not going to share their money with you. But if we build something that shares the profits among all of us because we're running, maybe that's the only way. And I don't for sure say that this is going to be the way, but it is one way that even though we can at best be at par in terms of product, at least it's owned by us, which means that we get part of the profits as well instead of them keeping it.
I agree, and I realize we didn't get a chance to hear too much from Charlie there in the back, but I think that civic design perspective, I would love to have that back here at AI Builders in the future, because I think what you're saying here, we need to start being a bit more interdisciplinary. We need to start pulling in some resources from people who have been doing this kind of work before AI was a conversation. So I think that's where we're gonna find some really interesting insight. I'm seeing some maybe to go for the questions here, just because.
Just an organizational question. Sorry, we will get to the questions. Should we do the debates later, or should we continue doing this?
I think let's.
After the break, I mean.
Let's wrap up these questions, and
Okay.
we can just do before everyone leaves their
Yeah,
seats. We'll
and
have
then
a
we
conversation,
need-
we'll decide together about
Exactly.
the debate, and we'll give some context on what that is. But
Okay,
let's just do
exactly.
two more last questions here.
Hi, thank you for the panel. This was just a random thought that came into my mind while I was listening to you guys. So data quality matters for obvious reasons. And the quality of data, one of the aspects of data quality is how truthful is the data. And that truthiness comes from how much the people who are providing this data is trusting the system that they're providing the data to. When I think Charlie or you mentioned decentralizing all of this, does that come into play? Like, what are your comments on that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The only reason why our models will be better, or like this can be better, is because you can literally, if you own it, if you have a machine, a device at home that works for you, you can literally give it access to your bank accounts, to all of your file system, all of your chat conversations, everything. The quality of the data matters, and it can read that, and it will truly know who you are. You cannot possibly trust ChatGPT with all of this, but you could trust something that runs in a computer at home with you. So it will give you, even if the model is 100 billion parameters smaller, it can give you answers that you truly care about.
But there are
Amen.
levels to privacy, right? You can only have your fence so high. Someone can build a building higher than your fence's cover and see into your information. You know what I mean? Yeah. How high is the privacy?
It's very high. It's like,
And what are you, when you pay for a certain level of privacy, what exactly is not covered?
well,
That's a good question.
really good question, but I think when I talk about local, I talk about it running in your computer and not even needing internet access. You don't upload, it literally belongs to you. No, it doesn't go anywhere else. And yes, somebody could attack you and TDO as your server, but we're basically I think this is a given in our society right now. Routers are pretty good at stopping people from going into your home network. It's very difficult to go into your home network. And therefore, I think it's a pretty good assumption to say that if you keep this locally and nobody can access it, this data is private. It's yours.
Thanks. I think, can it be like super, super short? We don't have time. Well, I think either way we want to, let's just do the,
Yeah, maybe we can quickly take a concept, like a vote, whether we
Okay.
cancel the next one, which is the debate, because, and then continue this one, and then take more rotations, or no? That's something we can vote for right after this question.
right after this question, because also we want to give some time just to like chat and hang out, and then, so we're, yeah. So I think, well, yeah. Yep.
All right, perfect. Thank you. My name is Fabio. Thanks so much for the discussion. So I'm not really here to convince anyone. I'd like to understand both sides of the view. I come originally from more of an entrepreneurship background, and you know what I'm thinking when I feel like when I'm thinking out loud, it's good to know that it's really niche thinking as well. And I think for the most of the people, for example, what you're saying right now with the solution, if you run it locally, and the current cost is around 3,000 euros. I mean, 40% of the world doesn't even make that in 1 year. So what I think is it's also sort of like a choice, right? Like I think it's very beautiful what OpenAI is doing. For example, if you have people all over the world who now with AI can educate themselves, you know, they can teach themselves English, which opens up so many possibilities to the rest of the world. I'm thinking like, for those people, does it really matter that their data is being used? Like, is that like for the big opportunity that they get from it by using this software? Because it's also right now I'm thinking like economies of scale. Like basically right now, is there another available solution that can offer people in Indonesia for maybe $10 the same amount of software? Like, can you do that when you run it locally? So I think I wanted to add that a little bit. Like it's not everyone, some people agree to do it. Let's say, just like I agree, like when I, for example, pay with my phone, I agree that Apple, you know, sees my face. Every time I use Apple Pay, I use my face to buy stuff. Why do I agree? Because I think it's less friction, you know, it makes my life, I mean, I wouldn't say better, but more convenient. And if people are willing to offer that, then
thank you.
That's also okay, I guess, right?
Thank you.
So I'm not like trying to convince. I'm just trying to understand both views. You know, it's okay. Yeah.
I think you make a very strong point, and I think you know when we thought about this panel, we thought about it as the beginning of a conversation. Many of these devices that can do the kind of sensing and the kind of data capture and the way that we're imagining it aren't even out yet. And many of the solutions, no one's developed yet, or the alternative, let's say. So this was an attempt at the beginning of a conversation. And I think what I'm realizing is that more conversations like this should happen. I don't think there's a clear answer of like, you know, like, does it really matter? Is it worth it? Is it worth the convenience? Is it as bad as it could be that these companies will have, you know, will have the eye tracking of 4 billion people at some point? We don't know. But that's, I think, why we have these conversations. And I'm excited to have more of these and see what comes out of it. So I think with that, let's wrap up the panel, because I think it's a beautiful place to end. And we had planned a debate, and so what I think we'll do now is we'll just do a quick crowd vote with hands to see whether or not we still try to do the debate and squeeze it in, or if we'd rather just take this last until 10 p.m. we have the space to just have another drink, to take the last slice of pizza. But to give context on what the debate was going to be, to see if we still want to do it. The concept was we have, and Corey could perhaps share some of the topics if it makes sense, but the idea is we crowdsourced a bunch of topics, and we were going to vote as a crowd on the topic, and then we were going to form 2 teams, and you could join that team if you wanted, and then we were going to do a rapid fire, kind of almost like school debate style, where we debate a topic from you guys against each other, just real rapid fire for 20 minutes. But that would basically at this point cut out any kind of like chatting and open networking time.
Can I just add something?
Yes.
The way this debate thing was born, it was born out of necessity. Last month we were doing this for our normal template is 4 speakers. So we had 4 speakers, 1 speaker didn't come, and we had like 20 minutes left. We said, what do? We let people eat our pizza or we let them fight? So we chose the latter one. And the format goes like this. Corey will give some topics now. And then if you want to go in the favor or against that topic, you raise your hand, you come over here, you take 30 seconds, you talk so that people know how you talk, how good is your communication skills, and how knowledgeable you are from that. And then people will say yes, yes, yes. And then we finally get 2 people on the stage, and then you will moderate the...
I think just given the time constraints and how I did it, that this is going to take a bit too long. I think we should first decide, before we really finalize how we're going to do the panel at this point, I think, can we just do a quick general speaking, a quick vote of who would like to spend
exactly.
the last 45 minutes hanging out, and who would like to do a debate? Let's start with like hands up for who's really stoked about this debate idea.
I think it's been pretty intense. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, then let's do it. Wrap it up. Woo! Cool, let's do it, man. Woo!
Bring some pizza.
Thank you. Woo, good. Anyways, Emil, good to see you. Let me turn off the recording so that we can go like 100%.
Yeah, I'm curious about your setup.
Absolutely, I can tell you everything about it. It's really cool how this thing started. If you want, I can also
wrap up, and then afterwards we
yeah.
can chat about
And
it.
if you're fine, I can also show you under the recording. I can open the screen.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Sure, yeah.
You wanna? No, I mean, are you okay if you're being recorded?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I record extensively myself.
Wonderful. Then wear this one somewhere on your shirt. I will bring the camera, and then we will do it together, and at the same time show it.
Okay, cool. Let me get my dictaphone as well.
Okay.
I have a question for you when you're ready.
Yes, we are just about. I'm just about to show this dude the software. You can join us. How I built this, I'm gonna show that. So maybe our faces are more interesting.
Every time I look at the screen, I see myself.
We're good. Maybe you guys can sit if you want. Like take 2 chairs there. Sit. Leave 1 chair for me. Wonderful. And this chair goes to me, and then we have a nice little conversation. If you guys are asking questions in rounds, then you use this and switch the microphone. All right.
Where's the microphone?
Pardon?
Where's the microphone?
There, on this T-shirt, on your T-shirt.
my t-shirt. Oh, so I should
Yeah,
put the
well,
microphone
I
on
only
this.
have 2 microphones, so you need to clip it here, and then if
Okay.
you have a question, you ask, and then you ask.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So we're good now.
That's the camera we're looking at. So we're right now in AI Builders meetup, and the networking section has started, and we are going to take this opportunity to explain what is this thing.
Yeah.
And I will share. This is actually a screen sharing right now. So you both are programmers.
No.
You're not a programmer. You're a programmer.
Neither.
Perfect
Yeah.
audience, because I deliver content to non-developers,
Brilliant.
but aspiring product developers. Not necessarily coders, but people who want to build products. So maybe I can quickly give you an introduction about myself. Who am I? What do I do? So my name is Alistair. I'm a software engineer. I've been building software for the past 23 years in a row, nonstop. And I usually work with those big names. Now, something happened in 2023. I built this startup, my 5th startup, my 5th company, 3rd startup. This is a voice AI agent connected to all these tools. And I got a lot of these startup hypes and stage and demo and so on. But what happened under the hood is I learned a lot about LLMs and and how this world is changing. And as a software developer, someone who wrote code for a very long time, in building such a thing, that on one side you have a microphone, and you talk to a microphone. On the other side, things happen in your computer. It opened my eyes to a whole lot of things. And then it is 2024, after losing a lot of money, my personal savings in this company, and after doing my going through an acceleration program, we raised $120,000 from there. And then I realized that, fuck, I just lost the game. I have to close down this company. I closed down the company. I went all in as emilsire.com. Like literally, right now, all I'm doing is personal branding, and I'm just going as an individual contributor. And what I did was, I took the most amazing step that I should have taken like 4 years ago. I opened a YouTube channel, and I started talking about NA10 and AI agents. Those are the 2 things that I did. And literally in about 4 months, I have uploaded 107 videos.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Do more.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I did in the process was, I said, I'm going to do something to educate people, non-developers. I went there and I started doing these workshops. This was one of the workshops. And then the next workshop I got was in this room. That was the start of everything. And then 75 people showed up. It was a 6-hour-long, where is the video? Anyways, it's somewhere here. Yeah,
we're streaming right now
on YouTube, and this technology I will show you. So 75 people showed up in this workshop on 15th of March, and I don't know shit about workshops. I don't know anything about education. Like I said, I want more people around me, otherwise I'm gonna die. So I put these cameras around me, and I started recording. I'm coming to the fact, how did I build this software? Out of necessity. So I built, I'm gonna open the code, I'm gonna show everything. It's 100% vibe coded.
What does it do?
It basically, I will explain it in just a minute, so that I can show you what was the main problem. The main problem was, look, I have one camera in here, one camera in here, one camera, this one that is recording. So I have 3 cameras around this room, and I record them. I record them literally on the local desk of the phones. It is a 4-hour-long video recorded across a day. It took me 10 hours to edit this. And I said, like, I'm not gonna edit any more videos. I'm gonna go live, and I'm gonna do everything live. So, and then I realized that I'm gonna do something. And I created a vibe coding crash course about this. I said, I'm going to build, that's me, that's my cartoon. And I said, I'm going to build something called Vibe Stage, which basically projects everything from people, like these remote controllers that you guys saw, and also the video. Like right now, if I press Command-Shift-F, this is Vibe Stage. Now I'm building Vibe Stage. So I started building Vibe Stage in this, let me show you. If you go to the playlist, there is this Vibe Coding Crash Course 101, 38 lectures, and every single one of them are really small lectures, like literally 4-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute long videos. So I start.
You're frying my brain a little bit right now with all this information. I was actually just curious about what your setup is and then what the actual program looks like.
Yeah, so this is how it works. So there is Electron.js running this thing like on the top of everything else. And this is just a video, a transparent Electron. You know what's Electron.js? Yeah. So it basically has transparent backgrounds. If I press Command-Shift-F, it goes and sits on a small size in a corner. I can move it around. If I press Command-2, it switches the attached camera, the next camera, and then it goes there. If I press Command-Shift-G, it is, well, it's very simple. It's the Git user media. The WebRTC API is natively available. So when you Command-Shift-W, you can see these the list of these cameras attached to this. So if I
via Wi-Fi and then you can just automatically affect them? Or
no, this one is using continuity. Continuity is a feature of. Let me show you quickly. So when I click this, it changed, or it is based on the shortcut. So what it does is it is using a feature of Apple that's called continuity, but it has a problem. What is the problem? I have two phones. I cannot use continuity to project both phones.
This is also not an Apple.
It's a cable. So it's a cable. It is listed as an extra webcam. So look at this. If I
use a Wi-Fi enabled live streaming camera.
Coming to that, I will just show you. I have it. So here, if I go with Facecam, command 3, right? Here, it is the camera of the thing. Now there is another solution for this, which is, let me show you. I have an app on my phone called Camel Camera. So I load this, and then I load the Camel Camera desktop app. They both are connected through Wi-Fi. I click on
And is that an Apple phone?
pair. This is an Apple phone. It can be any phone.
It could also be an Android.
Exactly. I scan this QR code. Look what happens. Look what happens. I put this camera as well in here. It's coming. It has to be, I think, in the same Wi-Fi, which we are. It's just loading. And then in this little app that's going on the top of everything, another camera is listed down. So this extra camera is gonna show up anytime if it works. This is Camel. But the problem is, again, a single device. Try again. You see, there are a lot of small problems with this setup. And what I'm doing now is I'm changing this with WebRTC. So you see one QR code from my app, from VibeStage. Everyone in the room scans the QR code. You suddenly get 20 cameras.
That works?
That works. This feature is almost done. I have a workshop in this room on Saturday. 80 people, full day. I'm going to use it there for that purpose. Yeah. And that's all vibe coded, 100% vibe coded. And not only this much, but also this. On the top of everything, you see this. Like this remote controller will have a camera icon. When you press that camera icon, you're connected directly to this one, which will definitely do also on the top of that emojis will also do a camera. So that I switch this, I see a list of 20 cameras. I can switch between them. Or I can put it on an automation and then it goes on automatically by itself. Whew, that's all vibe coding.
My questions are far more basic than that. I couldn't write a line of code if you asked me to.
Yeah.
I would be struggling to keep up with everything you were talking about anyway. But I'm interested in experimenting with it.
Yeah,
I'm literally I don't even know where to go first.
What are you doing next weekend? Next Saturday? This coming Saturday?
I'm leaving Berlin in the morning. But if you're live streaming...
No, exactly. What I'm saying is not in Berlin. What are you doing in general?
Oh, like what I'm doing for work.
This Saturday, are you available this Saturday the whole day?
Not the whole day. My girlfriend will kill me. She'll go nuts.
Okay, then you need to talk. You need to. No, yeah, exactly. You need to sell it to your girlfriend so she can join you. Why? Because I'm building something called Samantha.
Okay.
You know her, 2013.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. You know her? Here. My startup was all about that. So I was building this. This was a part of our slide deck. It was called a voice kit, but we were building this companion voice AI agent. And now what we're building this Saturday is a voice AI agent that talks to you. It sounds so much like human. You want a demo? You want a demo of Samantha?
Might as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's on that camera. Well, it depends on how you prompt it. Yeah, she can be cute. So I'm going to just show you here, but only thing I could show you on that phone is just a phone number. But it's the same engine. It works the same way. If we do it here, then the voice is also recorded. So better we do it from here. Vapi is a platform where you can build voice AI agents with not knowing any coding experience and so on. So here, come here and talk to Samantha.
So, like, hello there. Can you help me build a decentralized application?
Because of the background noise, the microphone is somewhere here, so go closer to the...
Also my Irish accent.
Yeah. No, I think it should be good. Yeah, so now this has access...
responsive.
It is responsive, and it has access to your tools.
Okay.
So it's a full-fledged AI agent. And that's how, maybe I can get some, some space here.
You go over there and show me how it's done.
Yeah, and this is what we're going to do for the entire day, hands-on.
I'll just write that one down.
It's on Luma page. If you go to Luma, you will find it. It's happening this Saturday.
Then something else that I wanted to ask was, like, how do you install a local LLM as well? Because that's something that's very
Why do you need a local LLM if you don't know how to code? What's your curiosity?
Well, is that like, am I putting the horse before the cart there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Go with ChatGPT. Go with an LLM that you know.
Okay, because I was
installing local LLM and you don't know how to code, you're going to end up in an edge case and it's not going to work, and you will lose the faith you have on this non-coder product development.
Yeah.
And you will call it a myth, and then you go and carry on.
Okay.
But if you pick the right tools, you will build things that are actually functional.
Yeah.
And
well, there were two other tools that were recommended to me. V0.
Yes, I know it.
Is that
and Replit or Lovable?
No, that was just it. V0.
V0 and the other one?
Windsurf.
Windsurf, yeah. I know both of them. V0 is kind of like in that very easy way. Windsurf is on the other side, the very technical way.
Okay.
Windsurf is like Cursor. I have Windsurf installed here, so I can show you. Windsurf is a code editor. With Windsurf, you can do coding with AI assistance. So you can build software. It has like a feature like this. You can see the code here. You can ask the AI in here to do things for you. You ask it in a chat way. You write text in here.
No way.
And then it builds that software for you on the other side. Exactly the same way as Cursor. This is Cursor. And I use mostly Cursor. I use both of them, but I like Cursor more. The same thing. You chat with it, and then it builds the software on the other side.
That's crazy.
But V0 is a way better tool than this for, especially for non-technical people. So you go and chat right away in the browser. You build your products inside the browser. And same as Replit, same concept. Same as Firebase Studio, same concept. Same as Lovable, same concept. And a thousand more. A thousand more. Base 44, another one, same concept.
And are they like? Are any of those models better at certain types of products, or is it just like they're all certain?
Yeah.
They can only reach a certain standard.
To be honest, I like Replit the most. What is the difference between these ones living inside the browser and the difference between the other ones? Come on, join us if you want to be like we're talking about. Yeah, we are still.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about Replit and Lovable and Windsurf and Cursor and all the vibe coding. Yeah, you love Cursor. So that's what we were talking, and that's the camera that's pointing at us. Okay. That one. Yeah.
Okay.
And And these ones, these Lovable and Riplets and everything is much easier for you as someone that you're just starting to start with. I would suggest start with Lovable or with V0, and then go to Windsurf or Cursor.
Yeah, it's the same way that I built my website for.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can I see your website?
Yeah, it's. I think you will say, oh.
No, come on.
Yeah, it's Lippmann, like Lipp, MANN -consulting.de.
So this is you're not a coder, right?
No, but it's completely with AI.
So this is done completely with AI.
Yeah.
With animation, with everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. I just used V0 for dev, and then came over to.
We were talking about V0, yeah.
Yeah, it was the start. So V0 from dev.
Nice.
And then go over to Cursor.
Wonderful. So now this is the future of software development. You talk to a microphone, and it is generated.
So let's say, like, I run a hackathon and conference, and we need to update our website. It's on Webflow. Is there a way for me to do that using those tools? Like,
yeah, I mean, Webflow might already have an AI feature.
Okay.
But if you're going in a hackathon, you want to build a website. It depends on, you want to build a website, go to V0. For a demo, go to V0 Lovable.
Okay.
If you want to build a web application, go to Riplet.
Okay.
Riplet is also the same way as this one, like I showed you earlier. I have this vibe coding course that I may shown you before, vibe coding crash course.
Yeah.
In that, I covered 3 in a very shallow way: Riplet, Lovable, and Firebase Studio. But my entire course is more deep on the cursor, like literally writing cursor.
So you think I need to do a bit of like upskilling training on the easier tier and then go to Cursor?
Exactly. Start from Riplet, go to Cursor.
I love the idea to print, you just paint your website in Figma or just on a
Exactly.
paper,
And then screenshot it and then send it.
Just draw it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Just draw it in Figma?
Yeah, draw it. And, draw the buttons and all that stuff. And make arrows on it if you think that it needs to be, I don't know, a glow around the button and stuff. And then, if you have a good signature, I can read it, of course. I can build it. Because in V0, you have this Figma feature built in, right?
Yes. I
love it.
I can't believe this is going that fast. And Samantha is sick. So I can't believe like this is happening right now. Like, look at this. I built the software. Right now we're watching us like a little bit far in the, look, I'm gonna switch it to this webcam of this one. So here, we're seeing each other through live, and I built this in 20 hours. 20 hours of vibe coding, and this thing is up and running, and I'm gonna use it in my workshop that's happening on Saturday. And I'm a busy guy. Right now it's live on YouTube.
It's pretty amazing.
The stream as well, so we can like see.
Do you like to attend?
Thank you.
What do you want?
I'd like to see the stream.
Here. This is the YouTube stream. Right now it's from YouTube. This is YouTube.
And there's 2 simultaneously on the stream.
Yeah, the one is the default camera, one is the extra camera.
And you can adjust that. You can adjust. You can make it like monocam.
Yes, you can. So right now I'm using in here. Maybe I can show it to you here. So right now I'm using. This is the whole architecture. Okay. So I have Riverside. You know Riverside? It's a company.
Oh yeah.
It's a company that does these live streaming things. So there are so many components in this. There is a screen recorder running right now. There is live stream running right now, and there is this camera switching thing running right now. From these or this emoji thing running right now. So the emoji in the camera is my software. The screen recorder is from QuickTime Player from MacBook, and the live streaming is from Riverside. These 2 missing components, the screen recorder here, the screen recorder, and the live stream. These are the next 2 versions. So Vibe Stage 3 will have recording. Vibe Stage 4 will have Riverside. And right now we are talking about Vibe Stage 2.0. And guess what? It's open source. I'm open sourcing it. So it's like React Native projects. This was my initial idea, React Native projects, but these extra cameras are gonna be PWAs or web applications. So web applications. So these web applications will be as a part of the React Native. Why? Because the React Native will be done by the event managers like us, having these fixed tripods, because they don't want to die, like the screen lock or whatever. So they need to be more reliable. For them, we're gonna do the React Native. For the audience, we're gonna do the web application, because audience will see just one QR code, they scan it, and they, with their camera, contribute to this thing, and then this also goes live. It's a full-fledged startup, and I built it in 20 hours. And I fucking cannot believe this. My mind is on fire. I slept like 5 hours in the past 2 nights because I was building this.
Yeah, I'm really stuck with it too.
And I'm fascinated. I've been building digital products for over 20 years, and now I'm thinking about something and I'm building.
Yeah,
I have a 6.
That's the magic.
That's the magic. Let me show you something else.
You can see, literally, you can see your idea happen in real time.
Look, these are all my diagrams. These are all my diagrams. And in the middle, you see something from my son. We are brainstorming things. These are all his drawings about a car. We're gonna do some cardboard, but we are also vibe coding a game project for him. Look at this. I'm gonna show you a game project.
The treasure box here, right?
Man, the future of this is going to be amazing. So this is a game that my son, it is entirely my son's idea. Like this game that you're gonna see in just a minute. 3, 2, 1, go. Go, 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 go. Here, this is my son's idea. He says like, put this stuff in here, and this is entirely vibe coded. And it's all his world. He's 6 years old. And this is vibe coded. And every now and then we get together and then we add something in it. Like, let's put this, let's put this, let's change the scoring. Look at the light, the flashlight. There's a sun. Not so much. He's only 6. There is the sun. He's only 6. We spend like maybe in total 5 settings, each setting 30 minutes. Yeah.
Serious work. So what do you think? Can you showcase small business owners in a workshop? I don't know,
Yes.
masterclass of 90 minutes.
What's your question?
What do you think? Can you showcase small business owners in? I guess 90 minutes should be enough to show some magic. Do you have any ideas?
Yes.
That they are
That's exactly my
like a
full-time
wow
business.
face in it.
That's Very nice to meet you, Colin.
Kalen, yeah.
Kalen.
Yeah, thank you very
Kalen.
much.
Thank you.
Kalen, see you.
So your question is, can I show small businesses on how to build digital products
show them just to
in 90 minutes? That's exactly my business model. I want to, I don't know how to make money from this. I started it like 3-4 months ago, and it's catching fire every minute it goes on. I'm super thankful to NA10. They're sponsoring my events. They're reposting my posts on their LinkedIn profile. That gives me a lot of coverage. That's very important. Because I'm a programmer. I don't know shit about marketing. I'm super vulnerable. I share my screen. I live stream it to the world.
You don't know how to sell this.
I don't know how to sell it.
I have a good idea how to sell this. Let's talk about it.
I mean, I didn't charge anyone yet a penny on everything I'm doing, and I'm doing like full day. Pardon?
Even for the master classes you're doing?
No, all of them are free. Like my last master class was for 3-4 hours, free. The next one is going to happen on 7th of July, free. I have like a bunch of them happening.
But you sell these agents to companies.
Oh, the way I make money is by by building software for others. I'm a very expensive software engineer. I charge 150 euros an hour. That makes 25, 30,000 euros per month. So I'm okay with my lifestyle there, but I don't know how to stop writing code for others and start showing small businesses that, hey, there's something called vibe coding. There's something called N8N.
But that's what you want to do.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it. I never did coaching before. I never did any workshop before. I've never spoke in front of 50 people before.
You do a quite good job.
Huh?
Yeah.
You can certainly a talent there.
I think so. I mean, once in a while I got a chance to go on a stage, for example, in front of 200 people in the demo day of Techstars.
That's why I'm here, Amal. That's why I'm here.
I'm looking for all cool dudes who can help me materialize this thing and put it in a way that I can sell it.
You know, I have a customer because I make workshops in AI.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So your website is about that. So maybe you can tell us you get some traffic.
Okay. Yeah, I'm coming into the company and I'm a kind of a consultant.
Okay.
I have different partners. One could be you,
yes,
of course.
Yes.
And we make workshops for
in-house training and workshops.
Exactly.
Okay, nice.
And one of my clients is the IHK. Maybe you know it.
Yeah,
IHK is very
I was featured in IHK magazine in 2016 in the front of it when I won the first prize of Startup Weekend Koblenz.
Because I'm really convinced that the magic happens when you bring people
together in person.
Yes, and giving them the capabilities to build these these workflows by their own.
Yes.
So that they can build these knowledge in-house.
Yes.
And I have a couple of customers, they book workshops. We make about 3 hours online. And they charge per hour, of course.
Okay.
And last week we sold a workshop to a company. It's a pharma company. They want to build their own end workshops in-house. So they build.
Oh, nice.
So they buy three days, one-to-one workshops.
Yeah,
so
nice.
if you want to make
Do you know
these
this
more-
company? Do you know this company?
Sorry?
Do you know this company?
No, really no.
They do workshops. And I thought like these guys are the biggest ones. There are other players.
Could be, yeah.
Okay.
You should go to GFU.
GFU.net,
I think. They're from Cologne. GFU.net or org. I don't really know.
What is it?
It's
Cologne?
like it's
training company.
Yeah, exactly. And they're selling workshops. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, first thing. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
So these are also those who are
trust
selling.
me, if you go to them and showcase what you do, I'm pretty sure that you will get a lot of
nice
clients there.
Nice. I don't know how to sell. To be honest, my thinking is that if you, it stopped. My thinking is if you deliver value, the actual. I have a microphone here. Okay. If you deliver value, the money will come after this. I lost a lot of money of my savings in my last startup. I built 5 companies in the past 17 years, 3 startups in the past, let's say, 10 years, and 2 agencies. My agencies made money, that's okay, but my startups, all of them lost money. Now is the time. I'm getting almost 40. We're just about to start up building a building construction, and I'm a dad of 2, 1-year-old and 6 years old. And I want to kind of like settle down somewhere. And I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy showing people, hey, this is how it's done. And then you do it. And I get random messages.
Where are you based?
I'm based in Berlin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about the future of these workflows? Do you think that there is like a market for them to sell this workflow? Like we maintain them for the companies? Like we go to the companies, you build it for them? The question was, the question was, what do you think about the future of how these workflows gonna get built? From people like you, with of course you have a lot of development experience, but do you think it could be so easy that I just press enter on Claude and it,
Exactly, that's the ultimatum. It's gonna go there, but let's think about this. Like N8N.
Because if it's gonna go there, and I'm pretty sure it will, there is just, I don't know, a time frame about 2 years to sell these services to agencies.
Absolutely, you nailed it.
Right?
You just nailed it.
It's one of the bad things of AI. Things change so quick.
That's the thing. You build a business model.
Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? This guy
Nate,
called
of
Nate?
course. Yeah, I love him. Yeah.
Okay, I was, I'm an NA. I was driving here and listening to Nate's videos, and let me check. Let me see if I can find it out. A workflow that generates workflow. N18 developer AI agent. Yes. No. It was shorts.
This guy is crazy.
He is. I respect him. He's so young. How old is he?
I think he's 22, 23 or so. Not older. Maybe half of me. Do you know the guys from AI Foundation?
No.
They have a really big school community.
Here, this one. Look. No. No, not this one. Anyway, sorry, I can't find it. But the idea that he built, this one, the first one, man.
Maybe his first one.
So, come here. Here. So I will paraphrase it because it's too loud. He built this AI agent that builds an AI agent. It's an AI agent that he runs, he prompts it. It's an N18 workflow. Exactly, it's an N18 workflow that is running, building N18 workflows. It's recursive.
That's very nice.
It was published, I don't know when was it published, like, look at that, 4 hours ago. Today it was published. I'm gonna do the first thing, go in and see what is this thing. I'm amazed, like, this can happen. But I was speaking with N18 folks, N18 AI community, with Jan Oberhauser, the CEO. And I got to know that, I'm not sure if it's a public information. Anyways, I'm going to say it. Because it was spoken in a community meetup, so probably it's public information or it's on their roadmap. A text to workflow is coming in N18 natively. So what Nate built, it's coming as a native feature. So you're going to text,
of course,
and the N18 will generate the JSON that is going to be the workflow.
What about the APIs? Because, you know, sometimes it's much easier just to put all the APIs in, like, I don't know, like in one password image thing, you know? And because the credentials is one of the things that sucks. You know, if you post any API into Claude, it will big alert signs coming up. Stop, you don't have to
pay too much money and so on. Yeah.
But it's quite much easier just to collect all the APIs. Of course, they need to be secret. But
how is that called? There's you mean a gateway of all the APIs, and
like
then you pay one
right?
membership, and then
that will be great because it sucks to just set up any credential by default. And if you copy an HTTP request, it always multiply this credential, and you have to set up a new one.
I know a service like that. Let me find it for you. How's it called? There is a GPT that is a gateway to all the GPTs. You pay one fee.
Chaturina.
Huh?
Chaturina.
Chaturina?
Yeah. Yeah, like Arena. Did you know this?
The Arena?
Chat Arena. Yeah. Or Typing Mind.
There must be a lot of them, but
there are a lot of platforms like this.
Yeah, this is that one? No, talking. Some adult. Chat Arena. I don't know. Like, let me quickly search it. Arena. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this one? LM Arena?
Yeah, it's some similar. I'm pretty sure there are tons of platforms like this now.
Exactly. So it's kind of like a chat bot or an OpenAI kind of like interface, ChatGPT like interface, but on the side you have a drop down of all the LLMs. So what these companies do, they're building just a 10 layer. It is cool because Cool.ai. There must be a lot of them. Like I can vibe code one in a weekend.
Yeah, yeah. And I know what you mean is that you just have one API to all the LLMs. That's what you mean,
exactly.
Right?
So you will have one API that has an LLM.
I'm using OpenRouter for this, or Grok. Grok is one of the
Grok and
things.
OpenRouter. That was what I was looking for. OpenRouter.
OpenRouter.
Yes, this is what I was looking for.
But you have to charge OpenRouter. You have to.
Yes, this is what I was looking for. Exactly.
And more, it's reliable and it's cheap. It's Grok. It's QRO. No, it's CROQ.
Why do they do these names so closely? Because this is Grok. Grok of X.
Yeah. I don't know, but it's not this
one?
Grok.
This one?
No, it's the first one. Yeah.
G. Okay.
Yes.
This is another one like that.
Yeah, but it's free. You know, you have to just
you put
log
your
in.
API keys and then
you log in and you have a couple of LLMs like Whisper and stuff.
I see.
And I used it in my recent workflow I was building to track my time for the company.
I see. They're open source.
But what I really meant was that I use a function like this for API keys. You know what I mean? That I can collect my API keys in one container.
Yeah.
And just have one. Just one way to pull them.
So, absolutely. Like there is, when you build AI agents, you have a lot of SDKs.
Yeah.
And there is this SDK from Versal called, what is that called? Shoot.
What are you looking for?
SDK. Versal's API. Versal is AI agent. Agent AI. My brain is like AI SDK.
SDK, yeah.
So this is the same concept. It is kind of like the interface for all the AI agent development tools.
Okay.
So this concept of kind of like router, OpenRouter, and Grok is coming everywhere, not only in the UI layer, but also on the SDK layer. So developers like me will not write code that is specific to OpenAI, will not write code that's specific to Claude, but they write code specific to XAI, this AI SDK from Versal, and then that is transpiled down under the hood with the next with the targeted
Crazy.
place.
What do you think about the community nodes?
Community nodes of N8N?
Yeah.
I think it's very powerful. That's how you make a movement, and N8N is making a movement because of that power of community. And I know N8N because of the power of this fair code that Jan Uberza introduced to the world. I stumbled upon N8N when I was running my startup in 2023. So when I was building this startup, I'm not sure if I told you about my startup. No.
No.
So
really
this,
nice website,
this was
by the way.
thank you. This was a voice AI agent connect to you, and then if you know this. You know this, man. So our company was called VoiceKit, and we are bringing this idea, VoiceKit, and we are bringing this idea of voice AI agents to the world in 2023 and 2024. So we needed an N8N. And I know just Zapier. Make.com, I think didn't exist there, or just bought what they bought, and then they became make.com.
I don't know the name, but
they bought something and then
exactly.
they rebranded
changed the
everything.
name,
So I was building this company full time, 70, 80 hours a week. And I needed an orchestration layer, an automation layer that will connect to all these backend APIs.
Yeah.
And that's the time when I find N8.
Right, okay.
And I see it's open source and everything, and I start tweaking things around in this, and I fall in love with this piece of technology.
Yeah.
So now what I'm doing, I bring the 2.5 years of my AI agent experience, and I bring this experience of voice AI. I've been building voice AI companies.
But you still own this startup?
I do, but we liquidated it. It's done. I still own this company. This is my other company, Zook. It's a zook.io. That's the domain name. And this was also a voice technology company. So with all this voice technology experience and AI agent experience and having my hands dirty with N8N pretty early on, now I'm bringing them together, and also that enormous number of experience of building software and managing teams and running agencies and vibe coding. Now I'm kind of like mixing all of that together in the easiest or the more cleanest solution that came to my mind was this.
It's like one pager you show you guys here.
It's like N8N and vibe coding together becomes fire. This is my main content focus. For the rest of 2024, my main content
I saw this a
focus-
lot. I'm pretty sure that you shared this in the last workshops or
on my
live streams.
LinkedIn. It must be
On
a
LinkedIn. Yeah.
So this is what I'm doing. Like only exclusively N8N. To be honest, I don't want to build content for make.com. Why? Because there is no point about it. I mean, N8N can do it. Why should I go to make.com? I went to Relevance AI because Relevance AI.
Relevance. Yeah.
Relevance AI.
I heard about it.
Because Relevance AI has an amazing tool. I only use Relevance AI's tool, which is scraping LinkedIn.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What does it make? What was?
So with Relevance AI, you can give a LinkedIn profile, and after some seconds, it gives you all the data in JSON of that LinkedIn profile, of a person or a company.
That sounds good for lead lists. You know?
Yeah, I built this thing.
But you need a subscription for this, right?
Yes.
Is it token based?
This is a chatbot I built.
Yeah.
So literally, this is something I built for.
The camera is there. You need to go.
It's okay. I can switch the camera as well. So I built this thing.
Yeah.
You can see yours truly's name, but this is the chatbot of Deep Tech Momentum. Deep Tech Momentum was this company. It is this company that was a big 1,500, 1,700 people. I built this chatbot entirely using Relevance AI. So the idea was like scrape a lot of information about founders so that we know more about them, so that the chatbot can answer more about them. So you see that.
Is it a template you can use from the scratch, or is something you built?
The Relevance AI.
No, what you talk about.
It was a vibe coded N8, not N8 so much. Vibe coded, some TypeScript, and some Relevance AI.
I'm pretty sure that you can sell this to companies.
To more conferences, yes. I mean, the future of this workflow management, like how do you call it? Agentic workflows.
Yeah.
And vibe coding. Why not just agentic workflows? Because they have limitations. N8N has only almost 500 integrations. But even in their integrations, there are some limitations. And time to time, you need to get out of N8N, build it custom here, and then go back to N8N. So HTTP request node.
Yes.
So you HTTP request node, do something, go back. Or maybe HTTP request node, trigger something. That takes a lot of time, 5 minutes to build. Exactly. And then another webhook goes back to the N8N workflow. So 90% N8N, 10% vibe coding. And that vibe coding thing, I can teach this in a day to someone to build an entire tech stack, N8N and vibe coding, that's it. In vibe coding with Vercel, with Supabase, with Next.js, you can build almost anything.
But it might be interesting for all these marketing agencies, all these digital agencies I'm pretty sure that they're very interested in this service.
Yes.
I mean, the workshops you talk
Absolutely.
about, not built them for this.
I mean, my main avenue is right now whether I want to keep going in the education route or whether I want to become an AI agency and I build it for people. And I think the best would be that I kind of like take both of them.
Yeah.
So I keep doing the education route that will give me warm leads, and I keep doing the agency route as more silently. That will give me more big tickets.
The question is, how easy would it be to build these workflows by their own without these experience?
As you mentioned, it's going to be built by AI itself.
Yeah.
The text to workflow is coming. So it's a time frame thing.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like 6 months.
Yeah, that's true.
And then your AI agency is down. So therefore, I think going in the route of education is the best because there will be always new things coming out. Yeah.
I'll find you in the AI Builders group, huh?
Yeah, or you can also connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think I actually already found you on LinkedIn. And,
Yeah,
cool. We need to say goodbye to the audience here.
Audience, it's been a pleasure. Oh, can you actually see me? It's been wonderful again. I think we have a amazingly talented YouTuber here who's gonna have an impressive career. And
Lovely, thank you. Thank you so much. One thing,
Nice to meet you, mate.
One thing I can ask you is like do shout outs on LinkedIn because that really helps me to grow.
Okay.
If one thing that you can give me is that one, not 10 euros.
Of course not.
But I'll also come to your masterclass in
On the 7th of July.
Yeah, I'll try to make it.
Yeah, it's at 6 p.m. in this room. See you then. Bye-bye.
So, Emil, let's talk about our convention because I don't know if you want to talk about this here in front of the audience.
Wait a minute. Pretty much open, but we're done 1 minute over the time.
Okay.
Let's close this and then we can keep talking until I do some more tidying up and cleaning up and walking to my car, and then we can talk.
Super. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. This was an amazing thing. I have never thought about. Let me do some closings, man. I have just literally never thought about it being like this. In the past 20 hours or so, or maybe 25 hours, because I was 5 hours here, I spent maybe 5 hours 2 times to sleep. The rest of that time I was like vibe coding this software that you saw. And good thing is I recorded myself. There was a camera capturing me time to time, not all the 25 hours, but time to time. I vibe coded another tool called time lapse. It basically takes screenshots every 5 seconds, and then it creates a video of that, and then it is kind of like time lapse. So I will be releasing a video on my YouTube channel. In between this, I will be talking for 2-3 minutes, demoing one feature of this thing that I built, and then the next 10 seconds is a time lapse of everything going on super fast. So this is coming. This is just like literally coming in about let's say 2-3 days. On Saturday I have my workshop. It's a full day workshop. It's gonna happen in this room. We only have 80 seats available. Like I can show you guys this room. It's not a big room, okay? It's not a big room. If you are coming to join in person, please make sure that you fill that form that I shared. There's a mandatory form. If you're not in that form, you're not in this room. I'm being serious about it. So please make sure that you fill that form if you're watching this part of the video. But other than that, something is coming, and that thing is called Vibe Coding for 20 hours. And this product that I built, and it just worked. It didn't break. For how many hours, I don't know. It just worked. And the amazing thing about it is that I can control everything from a remote controller, from a phone. And my remote controller is here. And you can see this, like literally, I showed it earlier. You can see this here, it's live on YouTube. And also it is being recorded, really 4K recording right now happening on my disk so that I can later on upload it. Now, I have been talking for, I don't know, a lot of hours. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. And thank you so much for all the shout outs. That keeps me going. That's the fuel for me generating content. See you guys in the next one. Bye.